What's going on? Happy Thursday. Welcome back to Memes and Markets. Keith, how are you, man?
Today's the best day of my life. Ben, how you doing?
Today's the best day of my life. We got a good one. We got one specifically for the Link Marines. That's what they call themselves, right?
That's correct.
What up,
Shout
Bramlin?
out to the Link Marines.
What up, DC Per? What up, Aged? How are you? Don't be shy in the chat. Come on in. Say hello. Good morning, Shane. How are you? How are you? We're happy to have you here with us. And yeah, let's get after it. Keith, where do you want to start with this one?
So yeah, look, Chainlink is all over the crypto timeline right now. It's been going crazy. We talked about it a little bit because of the stuff that's going on with the DTCC and their tokenization of all the securities. And I think it's time to do a deep dive, really talk about what is Chainlink, what's the tech, why do people care, why do people also potentially not care enough about what Chainlink is doing.
I'm also excited to talk about why you think all these things too, right? Because you've been keeping an eye on all the things that they've been doing, and other people that they may or may not be competing with have been doing as well. And so I'm really curious to explore your thesis for why you cared so much.
Yeah, man. So to start off, everyone here is pretty familiar with the concept of the blockchain, but let's talk about it a little bit. You've got Bitcoin, right, being the first true full public implementation of blockchain, and it solves a few problems, right? It solves the problem of being able to transact amongst potentially adversarial actors in a way that is secure and without having to trust any of the other participants in the system. That is transaction, but that's also for information and data. You can put a memo, right, in your transaction and say things too. And so you have now an immutable record of things that have happened in the past that cannot be tampered with, and a permissionless also network that anyone, anywhere in the world can use as long as they run a node on the network. So that's Bitcoin, and in my eyes, that's blockchain 1.0. And then you move forward and you got this guy named Vitalik Buterin. He's like, yo, Bitcoin is sick, bro. But it has no real like programmability. It has no extra functionality. You can't really do anything other than send messages, essentially, over the network. And so he was like, look, I'm going to take the same exact concept as far as even the consensus mechanism in the background, the thing that keeps the whole thing secure being proof of work. We're going to talk about proof of work today. And I'm like, but like, let's build something on top of that. Let's have what he created, or what they implemented, called smart contracts. It's like, let's build some programmability into this concept of a blockchain. And so now not only can you transact with people online in an adversarial, amongst adversaries in a way that has zero trust, but also you can create real functionality on top of that. So if I want to build out my entire financial system, I can do it with these smart contracts. And so smart contracts, shout out to Google, are self-executing computer programs that are stored on a blockchain. They automatically execute actions such as transferring funds or updating records when predefined conditions are met. So by eliminating middlemen like lawyers or banks, they make agreements faster and cheaper. So you don't actually, so smart contracts, because everyone says a contract. It's not a contract. It's not a contract. It's just code that's self-executing. And so people always like hear smart contract, they think like, oh, it's going to eliminate lawyers. It's like, well, that's not exactly what the point is. The point is just that you have something that can self-execute code, and in some ways eliminate the need for legal services, like an escrow service, where someone is sitting in between a buyer and a seller, holding funds to make sure that the seller fulfills on what the buyer is saying they're gonna buy. You know what I'm saying? So, and that directly applies to what the DTCC is doing, right? In the tokenization of securities transactions. So, anyways, that's 2.0 was smart contracts. Now we can build a financial system on top of a blockchain and not just send money back and forth. Cool. But as we talked about before in the show, smart contracts are not smart inherently, right? They exist on the blockchain. And so if I'm sitting here on the blockchain and I want to do cool stuff in the world of finance, well, I've got to get the world of finance, because it already exists, into my blockchain. And I've got to do that in a reliable, safe way. And this in 2017 became what was referred to as the Oracle problem, when Chainlink introduced their offering of decentralized Oracle network / oracles at the time. So, okay, we've got this opportunity here to bring information from outside of the blockchain into the blockchain so that now we can actually legitimately have a real financial world. If I want to settle on, well, if I want to hedge my bets as a farmer on what's going to happen with my crop. So in the futures markets, right, this is what farmers essentially do. They say, look, I'm going to sell my crop in advance at this particular price on the futures market, which allows me to then take that money, run my operations, lock in a price for my crop, and do everything I need to do and know that I'm going to be profitable for the season because I've locked in a price. Well, what if you could have more data around what prices you want to sell and buy futures for corn at? You could have information about the weather that day. You'd have the average temperatures over time for these months in this place in the world. And then from there, you could have something a lot more accurate around what the pricing of things could be.
Yes. I think a lot of people aren't, because unless you're in a specific field where you would have to see how something is taking place underneath the hood, like you wouldn't know or even really think about it. And so for a big bottleneck to bring blockchain technology to the world is to think that to talk, right? That's actually one of the biggest issues right now, is that a lot of things don't talk. And that's why things are very all over the place, slow. You need a lot of people to be involved. And one thing I was thinking about is that, so for them so the company Oracle, are they an Oracle as well? Like, do they do any sort of similar function to what you're describing here?
Great question, Ben. No.
Okay. Why do they call themselves Oracle then?
Well, I mean, I guess maybe to some degree, they're an enterprise data and technology platform. So for a company, but this is a great thing, because like for a company who's managing large technological infrastructure, right? There's data around all of the things that they're doing in their ecosystem that might help them to make better decisions. And maybe that's where their name really comes from. It's like, we're the Oracle. You know?
Got it. Do you think Chainlink isn't a bigger deal because people don't understand what it's doing?
I think because people don't understand what they're doing, and I think it's even further than that. It's that they don't understand the
Why it's
gravity
needed?
of that.
Mm.
Like they don't understand. People don't, I don't think, understand the gravity of the fact that all of the trillions of dollars that already exists can now move into the world that we've all been playing in this whole time.
Mm.
And not even just move into it, but be integrated with it. Right? It
Yeah,
becomes the same thing.
Great point. To create the reality that they're saying that they want to create, you need something like this.
100%. But yeah, so to your point too, because Chainlink is more than just an Oracle solution, they also have the cross-chain interoperability protocol and the Chainlink runtime environment, which is all designed to do exactly what we just said, which is to collapse this into one major thing. But to your point on like the things needing to talk to each other, that always made sense to me because I'm like, well, you've got what, hundreds of blockchains, and I'm like, okay, so why is this one better than that one? Why is that one better than this one? And then you start to realize, well, that's a religious thing.
Mhm.
It's a values thing. And so if it's a values thing, then Ethiopia, if they wanted to launch a cryptocurrency or use blockchain for records, they're going to use one. Tanzania is going to use another one. Portugal's going to use a different one. And I'm like, okay, well, if we're going to have all these different blockchains because people have different values and agree upon different standards, then we're creating like an even worse problem than what we have today, because at least today there are standards around how to communicate across borders when it comes to money and finance. So it's like, that's moving backwards, but this technology is supposed to move us forward. So what does it look like for it to move us forward? Well, then it would mean having all the functionality of a permissionless type of a system, or even hybrid systems that are distributed and allow for cheaper, faster, more efficient things, because some people, my Ripple people out there, like, look, it doesn't have to be super decentralized, okay? But then also adding the executability of the smart contracts and programmability, but then also, okay, but we need to talk to each other. We need one system or one standard for how to communicate these values and messages across borders and jurisdictions and so on.
Did you see this funny with Lennox? Did you see I'm a bartender at a fine dining restaurant, and last night I overheard two older men who work in finance describing crypto as a Ponzi scheme. Well, that's where things get a little murky. It's like most of finance, you could make similar arguments.
100%. We were discussing a little bit of that last night, right? It's fascinating to think about it from that perspective, but yeah, I mean, it's always fun hearing people talk about it from the outside because I was on a plane yesterday. I was talking to this guy who's a biophysics
Mhm.
PhD student, and I was trying to like break down like blockchain and Bitcoin to him, but it's like, but I'm talking to him about Bitcoin first, and then this guy in front of me like turns around. He's like, "Well, I don't know about Bitcoin, but stable coins are great." And I'm like, yes, you know what? Like, yes, like let's do that one first because maybe that one is easier to grasp. And like, it's like there are literal legitimate reasons why someone would do this. And then it came back to, okay, but I don't understand the volatility. Why would I want to, if I can use stable coins, and why would I use the Bitcoin thing and volatility? And I'm like, well, but you've now lost the permissionless aspect, which is why I wanted to start with Bitcoin
Mhm.
because we need to talk about that part first. But anyways, um, yeah, it's a whole journey, and it's like, like it's just a Ponzi scheme, but it's like, okay, but it's a technology though.
It's never a Ponzi scheme if it's making you money, though. That's how people always feel. Like with finance, like I heard two bros talking the other day about what they hold, and everything they were describing is pretty damn similar. But because it was making them money, or they feel like it's safe enough, then it's not.
Yeah, yeah, and then sometimes I feel like when I do my descriptions of the Bitcoin thing, like it's like it goes up because it goes up, you know what I mean, kind of thing. And I'm like, well, technically, I can see why that's not a great way to try to get you in or to try to get you to understand why and what I'm saying. But then that comes down to the Jeff Booth conversation of like, okay, but what is it? Is it an investment? Because that's how I can like, because that's how people ask the question, right? They're like,
Should I
oh, well,
buy?
like, yeah, should I buy it? And it's like, okay, well, if you look at that data empirically, yes, you should buy it. But if we just want to look at the data,
Mhm.
um, but then there's also, okay, but like, what does it do? Okay, cool. And like, let's talk about that part. What does it do? Why would anyone want it? Why would there be any demand for it? So yes, that was how I tried to approach that conversation. Was like, okay, let's talk about, because he kind of understood some of the supply side. He was like, oh, I understand this like mining thing and like just computers and they do computational work and all that. Um, so I was like, okay, but then there's also the demand side, which is I think is the part that's a little bit harder. I don't know. I think it's both pretty hard because the supply side, people are like, what is this? Like, why does it matter? It's the demand side that's more complicated because you're like, why would someone mine it?
Mm.
And it's like, okay, well, because it does this, it allows people to transact from anywhere in the world with no intermediaries, so on and so forth.
Yeah, the problem with explaining any of these things is that people don't even understand the current system. So you're expecting them
True.
to like that there's that gap of knowledge for they feel that it's fake. They feel that money's not real, but they've never explored it enough because it's always uncomfortable. Right? Because you have to learn so many things you don't know, and people have just been trained like, oh, money, I don't touch that. Other people touch that. I don't. And then even the people who do touch it, they touch it from the current system because all they're concerned about is winning. They're not really concerned about how it functions, they're concerned about being the victor, right?
Right.
And so then now you're trying to explain t people, like, I first need to explain to you, "Yes, you know this is bullshit, but, like, here's how, and then here's why this is potentially a better alternative or a solution potentially to some of these problems." You've lost them halfway there, like, they don't care. That's
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
that's the hard part.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to, in this conversation that I was having on the plane, the guy understood this concept that I called, well, that is called regulatory capture. Right.
Okay.
So the only reason, right, banks are able to charge as much as they do for people to send money across borders. Also, he was someone who travels a lot and has family in other places. So like he understood the value of like trying to send money
Mhm.
to Finland, which can cost a lot and take a long time.
It's all a
And
pain
yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
Right, you gotta
Mhm.
feel the pain to wanna know, like, we were talking last night about how a lot of people are very ignorant right now, but I don't think it's because they want to be, they just don't know where to start and they haven't felt the pain, right? Like, people can learn crazy amounts of information really freaking fast if they need to,
Yeah.
but most people around that could actually change the system, they're doing okay, they don't really care. Like, they may see it crumbling around them, but they're okay, it's like, "I don't really care." Or they don't even
100%.
think there could be a way to improve it, so, but yeah, let's get back to Link because I know you got a lot to share.
Yeah. So that's, look, Bitcoin allows you to transact without having any third parties. But once again, we need functionality. We need to be able to do stuff with it. So Chainlink, in getting data inside the system, is one thing, but then there's also the entire cross chain situation. And so there's been several different approaches to trying to connect different blockchains throughout history. And so, and first off, like, let's also break down what the process of the Chainlink nodes really looks like. So you have node operators on Chainlink, very similar to like a node on a blockchain. But remember, Chainlink is not a blockchain. It is an Oracle solution. It is a network of computers that are contributing data to whoever is asking for it.
And why is that different than a blockchain?
Yeah. So the blockchain is legitimately more of a database that is moving linearly through time stamped and immutable. It's a record of transactions that moves through time. The oracles are machines that fetch information into a transaction that takes place at one time in a blockchain. So yeah, so you think of like a chain link, and the oracles is like it's a relayer of information, but not a record of data over time. So you get to where, so these node operators in the blockchain world, they maintain the network. They're doing, for instance, on Bitcoin, like they're miners. The miners are a type of node that are doing work, proving that work has been done in order to earn Bitcoin and mint Bitcoin in the system. You also have proof of stake networks where nodes put up proof, they prove that they have a stake in the network and validate the transactions through the network in that way. We won't turn this into a whole consensus lecture, but point is that the nodes in the blockchain are there to validate the transactions that are happening linearly through time on the network and making sure that that stuff is immutable. Whereas the node operators in the Chainlink ecosystem are more there to fetch information from an external source and then to feed that information into a smart contract that's being used on the blockchain. So the node operator, what they do is they essentially go out and fetch information. So what's important when doing this is that you have multiple different references for data. So these Oracle networks are essentially multiple different node operators who might be fetching the same information. So there's two ways of thinking about how do I make sure that the information that's being used in a smart contract, because I can't go back once the smart contract is executed. I mean, I can do a transaction again to reverse it, but I can't go back in time. Remember, we're only moving linearly on the blockchain. So I've got to think about two different things. I'm going to think about having different node operators who are giving me the same information from the same source to make sure that that source is solid and that they're not lying about what's coming from that source. But I can also think about how can I get information from different sources on the same information. As an example, if I wanted to get the price of a Kit Kat at the gas station, I can get the price of a Kit Kat in this particular gas station, being the source itself. But then I need to send different people into the store to give me the answer of how much is the price of that Kit Kat. Because if one dude comes out and says it's $5 and another dude comes out and says, bro, he's lying, it's 120. Like, stop the cap, bro. Then I got to send more people in there to give me the rest. Like what's it really? And then another few people come in and say, bro, it's 120. And so to fully let's use that analogy. I'm in the car, me and Ben are riding around, whatever. I'm like, look, Ben, I bet you that Kit Kats are less than $5 in Toronto. So we ride around. We've got another couple buddies in the car, and we pull up to the gas stations. Now we're gonna like check on that. And I bet you've been my life savings. That we will not find one Kit Kat in the city that's over $5. Okay, cool. So you send all these people into the store, but they have a stake in the situation because they're going to get a piece of the winnings. Let's just imagine, right? Of however the bet settles. So if they go in, let me make it super real instead of that. So each one who's going in to go and check the data, they have a specific stake that they're going to put up into the pot, right? They're going to say, look, I'm putting $100 down on that. Whatever I'm saying is true. So I'm going to go into the store, but if I lie about what happens, about what I see as the price of a Kit Kat, then I'm actually going to lose my $100. So they're incentivized now to not lie because if one of them lies, then everyone else in the car is going to know because they all checked it themselves too. And we're looking at the amalgamation, the full story of who's all going to check the price of the Kit Kat. What did each of them have to say? And so, anyways, they all go into the store. We get back, one guy comes back, it says it's $5. Another guy says it's 120. Another guy says it's 120. Another guy says it's 120. Well, the guy who said it was $5, he's going to get kicked out of the car and he's losing his $100. Well, because we don't trust him. And he put up his $100 to say that he wouldn't lie. And so this is what these node operators are essentially doing. They're going out and they're fetching information. They're putting their stake on the line saying, hey, this is not, I'm not going to lie about this. And these different services, these DeFi protocols are all relying upon these node operators and the decentralized Oracle networks to make sure that this process happens efficiently. So super long analogy explanation there of different sources because we went to another gas station as well when we rode in the car. We went to multiple gas stations. We didn't just do that one. We went to multiple stations. Multiple people hopped out the car and went to go check the price. So different ways of looking at the veracity of information.
Yeah, you're essentially decentralizing validation of data points, which is going to lead to more statistically accurate information. Is that what you're trying to say, basically?
Yes.
And then there's a repercussion system in place where you actually get penalized if you were to lie. So that way, you don't want to. So like the information should be more accurate, and then it also kicks out bad actors or reduces the chances of them being present.
100%. So another thing that I wanted to go on is like, so we've got the cross-chain interoperability protocol, which imagine you're taking the same concept, but doing this for an entire blockchain like integration. So not only am I getting information into a smart contract, but also I'm thinking about, okay, there's hundreds of different blockchains, but we all want to transact with one another. Well, now we've got to think about all the different layers of the different things that need to happen for that to happen. And when it comes to bridging assets from one protocol to another and stuff like that, there's been several different approaches that have been taken. So uh, bridges in blockchain are basically just like these ways, once again, to get value from one chain to another. A classic example of bridging technically would be like wrapped Bitcoin or wrapped Ethereum, where essentially the way that those mechanisms work is, look, you are trying to get Bitcoin so that you can use it on Ethereum. And okay, but how would I do that? These are two totally different systems. Well, essentially what happens is you have a Bitcoin wallet on the Bitcoin blockchain. You send the Bitcoin to that Bitcoin wallet, but that Bitcoin wallet is owned and operated by someone who is going to issue what's called wrapped Bitcoin on the Ethereum network. So you're sending your Bitcoin to this wallet on Bitcoin, but Ethereum, and using smart contracts, imagine as well, can say, look, I'm going to check on if that Bitcoin is in that wallet on the Bitcoin blockchain using oracles to get that information. And if it is, then I can mint wrapped Bitcoin on the Ethereum blockchain. Oh, whoa. And now I've got Bitcoin, the price of the Bitcoin existing on the Ethereum blockchain, and I can now use it in DeFi or use it with all of these different Oracle services and smart contracts and so on and so forth. Now that's cool, but if I didn't completely oracleize that entire process, then I'm still kind of relying upon this guy who's holding that Bitcoin on the other end of the Bitcoin blockchain to make sure that it's actually there. Because the way that a lot of these work is the price of the Bitcoin is being verified by these oracles, but the insight on whether that Bitcoin is actually in that Bitcoin wallet might not be being reported. Right. So I'm still relying upon this guy, just like a stablecoin issuer, to hold the treasuries in their bank account, which is another conversation. I'm still relying on them to tell the truth.
Yes, which can be problematic. There's been a lot of good questions in the chat that I want you to continue, but I want to answer them first. So DC says, why issue a token then? Is that what's being staked within Chainlink?
Why issue a token? Why issue a token for Chainlink? Right. Yes. And it is what's being staked. Correct. Great question. So I didn't explain that. As a node operator, I'm staking Link to say that I'm not lying about anything. And if I'm someone who's using Chainlink oracles in my application, for instance, I'm a DEX, I'm a decentralized exchange. I want my users to be able to trade back and forth, but I need to know that the price of the assets that they're trading back and forth is reliable. Well, I'm using Chainlink oracles, which this is the standard, by the way, across all DeFi, essentially. Chainlink oracles are used to verify the prices of all of these assets across different exchanges. You get the prices from centralized exchanges. You might get the prices from other decentralized exchanges. And then what happens is I'm putting Link up as the stake to make sure that no one's lying. First off, okay, so if I'm that DeFi application, excuse me, I'm also paying in Link to that node operator for verifying the information as it comes through. So yeah, I got a little bit lost in my explanation, so hopefully that was helpful.
You're good. And someone also, I think it was Maria, asked if you could explain the concept of what wrapping Bitcoin is, or wrapped anything.
Right. So it's pretty much what I was just saying. So I'm on Bitcoin. I've got the desire to use that Bitcoin on Ethereum because Ethereum has more functionality. So I send my Bitcoin to a Bitcoin wallet that is specifically designated to basically lock that Bitcoin away so that then it can be issued on Ethereum, knowing that over here, it's not going to move. So, okay, so I'm a bridger or a wrapper. If I'm a wrapper, then I'm responsible for maintaining the keys of that wallet on the Bitcoin blockchain. And then I can also on Ethereum issue this wrapped Bitcoin, which then allows me to go out and have Bitcoin on Ethereum is that ERC20 token on Ethereum. Now I can use that in DeFi. I can stake it somewhere. I can lend it out to someone using smart contracts because it's here on Ethereum. Hopefully that answers the question. And yeah, you've got this across different types of ecosystems, same similar type of a concept. If you wanted to have wrapped Ethereum on XRP, you would have a wrapper person, a custodian. Okay, that's really what they are, who takes custody of your Ethereum on a specific Ethereum wallet address, holds it, locks it, and then issues wrapped Ethereum on the XRP ledger. And then you can do all the things that you would with Ethereum on Ethereum, but on the XRP ledger now. So, anyways, point being, there's trust in that. You have to trust the person that's locking the stuff away that they don't move it or lose it. But with what Chainlink's cross-chain interoperability protocol, they're trying to mitigate the amount of layers of trust that you ever need to do these kinds of things. So you have other types of bridging mechanisms as well. You had almost every bridge in crypto that's meant to like do what I was just saying. Essentially, these are bridges, just bridging mechanisms. Almost all of them have been exploited at some point. Even just a month ago, you had Layer 0, which is supposed to be competing with Chainlink, just getting exploited. And then everyone was like, oh, snap. Like, there's some serious DeFi protocols and applications that are built on top of Layer 0. And so when I think it was Kelp DAO or whatever ended up getting exploited, people started to move over to Chainlink, even just in the past month that just happened. So there's very little competition to what Chainlink is doing in terms of bridging mechanisms and connecting blockchains. And especially when it comes to the Oracle solution, there's really no competition there as far as like the rigor that's been done to secure that data. So that's like basics of Chainlink oracles, Chainlink interoperability protocol. When it comes to interoperability of different blockchains, there's a few different layers of what you have to think about. You have to think about the communication layer, like the actual messaging that's happening over the network. You have to think about the validation of the transactions on the network, the consensus mechanism that each one has. And then you have to think about the value of the tokens that are moving across the networks as well. And so that's why interoperability is, first off, a very difficult thing to solve, and why cross-chain interoperability protocol, understanding all of these things, is very powerful. So anyways, one big thing we could use as an analogy here, this guy, Ryan Lovell, was on Capital Allocators, which is a really cool podcast. It's really cool that he's on it too, because it's like just shows exactly where we're at in the world. Like, capital allocators, they're basically like they talk about private equity all the time. And these guys are having people about Chainlink, having Chainlink people talk about this. So real quick, he makes a quick statement here. Let's listen to what Ryan Lovell said.
Is he talking? I can't hear.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. It says nothing is on stage for me. Do you see that?
I see your screen, but it's just stuck on thing. Maybe take it down and bring it back.
Oof, it just took away my ability to share.
Let me see if I try to share, maybe it'll bring it back.
Yeah.
I'll just share I'll share CoinMarketCap. Oh, now there's multiple. And then I'll stop. But can you take his down?
Is it still up for you? It's not even up for me.
I still see it kind of, but I don't know if it's on live.
Well, that's messed up. Dude, these guys, they're killing me, bro. Killing me. Because I mean now I can't even share anything. But anyways,
So
basically,
you
dude,
the button's just gone?
yeah, it's just grayed out now. So anyways, basically, dude said, look, there's oil moving through the pipelines. We're the pipelines that are moving the data through. So that's what Chainlink is doing. So moving forward, there's a very interesting story also of like the origins of all of this that I actually did not know, as far as some of the major partners that were a part of building all of this. So essentially, is it still stuck on the screen?
It is. What if I try playing something? That's all blurred out too. Lovely. What if I do this? Let's see here. I'm just trying to like do anything I can to like reset it kind of thing.
Right.
Keith is sharing now. Do you want to take over? Yes, I do. But it just moves yours to the side.
Yikes.
Come on, guys. That's so annoying. What do we do with this here? Because that's just stuck there.
Maybe if we change the layout, I'm gonna
I've
try
been
that.
doing that.
Oh, okay.
Because I can't even play the bumpers or anything now, too. What a joke. What do you want to do here?
I mean, we could just keep running with it. I mean, I know that afterward we will be able to do more, but
yeah, because if you leave and come back, what happens?
I'm pretty sure it'll. I don't know. Actually, maybe I can just leave.
Try that, because that may reset your screen. And I'm going to send them an email after this to add to the list of bugs that we've dealt with. How are you, chat? How are you living? How are you living? Hopefully he's able to get back in here. Reboot. I appreciate all of you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. You're back. It fixed it.
Okay, there we go, folks.
There we go.
So
proceed.
I'm scared to pull anything back.
No, I think it'll be good. What up, Abs? How you living?
Oh, what's up, Abs? Let's go. So look, there's some interesting people involved with this that I haven't done enough research on. There's this guy named Ari Jules, and he's now the Chainlink chief scientist. But he was someone who co-formalized and like created the words to this concept of proof of work in the 1990s.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was looking at this guy, and he's an impressive person and a crazy resume. So let me go ahead and pull up some of that stuff, I guess, and look.
Let's try.
So he's a cryptographer. He's a professor at Cornell.
Dang.
And the chief scientist at Chainlink Labs. So he co-authored the first Chainlink white paper in 2017 with Sergey Nazarov and Steve Ellis. And I didn't realize that. And the smallest denomination of the Link token is called the Joule. How cool is that?
That's dope.
So look, in 1999, he coined and formalized the term of proof of work. In 1999, once again. And he actually had developed one of the first applications of a proof of work mechanism called client puzzles. And what this is about is essentially it's a computer algorithm that's designed to prevent denial of service attacks. So if a server is getting attacked and a bunch of people are just like, pinging the website or the server at one time to create enough traffic for it to shut down, essentially, or to overload it. That's what a denial of service attack essentially is. Then it can basically put up a shield and say, look, no, you have to complete this little tiny puzzle first. And once you complete that puzzle, okay, cool, I trust you. I know that you're a real user and not just a bot. Let's move forward. So this was the first sort of implementation, from what I understand, of proof of work. And so, yeah, he designed this called the Client Puzzle Protocol. He also developed something called fuzzy cryptography and privacy-preserving targeted advertising back in 2001. He proposed the first protocols for targeted advertising that preserve user privacy. He came up with coercion-resistant voting in 2005, a version of it. So this dude in general is just looking forward into the world and saying, what are the things that are going to be necessary for us to be able to, like, well, not have a dystopia? And he's creating the solutions to make them happen, to prevent us from having to go into a dystopia. That's how I'm looking at this. And part of that work has been around the blockchain oracles. And he also has written some novels, a cryptography thriller. That's scary.
That's crazy. What's the title?
It's called Tetractis. Tetractis. And then he also wrote a book called The Oracle, which is a cryptocurrency and blockchain thriller. Also very scary. So look, yeah. So now, so this guy also, all right, is someone who came up with this concept called DeCo. And I remember hearing about DeCo for the first time. And DeCo is like, it's TLS layer level oracles. Let me try to stop sharing. Did I stop sharing? Am I
you did.
Good? Okay.
We're all good.
DeCo is TLS layer oracleized stuff. And the reason that matters, let me try to pull up another graphic. I maybe shouldn't have stopped sharing. When it comes to internet protocol, you've got different layers at which information is being communicated. And so, like, to be able to, like, all this has been developed inside of the Chainlink ecosystem, right? And this is 2016, 2017. I think actually DeCo was 2020 in particular. They put it out. We're talking about blockchains and stuff, right? And being able to have oracleized data where you're getting information from one place to another. But there's also the internet protocol itself. And I talk about this a lot because people think Bitcoin is anonymous. And it's like, it's not anonymous, brother. It's pseudonymous. So by the time you're using the blockchain, right, anything that's happening on the blockchain, I don't know where it's coming from or who it is. But if you're using AT&T, okay, to interact with the blockchain, then brother, I got your IP address, or I can get it at the very minimum. And therefore your location, your identity, and everything else with that. But so what DeCo is about looking at the actual internet protocol and realizing that, okay, so at the bottom is the physical layer, right? And that's what I was just saying with AT&T. They have probably hundreds of thousands of miles of fiber optics that are either underneath the ground or running through the telephone poles or across the oceans. Okay, that's the physical layer. And then you have the data link layer, which is essentially just like taking the data coming from there and making that turn into real data and not just light. And then you got the network level, which is more about, like, you've got these internet service providers that create actual networks that people can, I'm not going to try to describe that because I can't, but like you've got modems, okay, that are physical devices that transport all of this data and whatnot. And you've got the transport layer, which is closer to when information is actually getting to a server. And then you've got the session layer. And this is TLS that we're talking about with DeCo, where you're at the point to where when I'm on a website, okay, there's a session that's taking place. And information is being streamed back and forth from my server to that server. So once again, this is how IP addresses get shared. When you type in a website address, they're getting your IP address, and there's data that's streaming back and forth essentially between your computer and theirs. And that information can be extremely revealing. And so what Deco was about is taking that information and saying, look, it's actually technically a layer lower than that, because the application layer is when you're HTTP on the website. But there's a transport layer that's happening before that as well, where Chainlink and the Deco system is essentially oracleizing data there so that you could create zero knowledge proofs that prevent you from having to share information about yourself as you're on a website. So I went deeper into this than I'm actually capable of, but hopefully you can understand that there's different layers to the internet, for one, and that there's different levels of privacy that you can maintain by using what Chainlink is doing on just the internet itself. Because if I can essentially like get data, if I can as a website provider, like you've got all these laws that come into place around like gambling sites or whatever, to like you have to gate access to the site. You can't let 18-year-olds use your site. But how do I know if there's an 18-year-old or not? Well, if you were to use something like Deco, you'd be able to have decentralized identity solutions that allow you to share that information with the website without having to share the information with the website. You could zero knowledge proof that information. And so, and or even with your service provider to some degree. You wouldn't even necessarily have to actually share that with your service provider, with AT&T or Verizon, if you had oracles and zero knowledge proofs where you can import that information without having to reveal it. Anyways, so Jules also is architecting that, and that's the kind of stuff that will completely change the entire internet, the way we interact with information and data and all that. So, anyways, that's one of the guys that's working on this. And then, yeah, dude, it's crazy. Dude's an absolute monster beast.
Just want to welcome back Jay here on. He asked if I'm a XRP believer yet. I would never say I wasn't a believer per se. I just wouldn't say I was a member of the XRP army. And he said that he's been sick. I have cancer and have immune compromised. We appreciate having you back. I hope you're feeling okay. And the community definitely welcomes you back. We missed you.
Wow. Yeah, really sorry to hear that. And we're glad to have you here with us, man. So the next piece is Sergey Nazarov himself. So Sergey is no joke, all right? He's been around. He was talking about, there's some lore around this that I didn't really know about, but apparently Sergey Nazarov actually registered smartcontract.com.
That's a solid domain.
Days before the Bitcoin white paper even was released.
Wow.
He was also mining Bitcoin from as early as 2010. And some people have said, look, his initials are Sergey Nazarov, SN, the same as Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay. So there's a chance that either he's a time traveler or also Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay, people are talking about that. But anyways, there's some more lore around this. So 2017, Chainlink actually launches, and there's like this 4chan anonymous account that calls itself the A Blaster and the ASS Blaster. And they start dropping hints over several years about how Chainlink is going to be working with the largest organizations and institutions in the world back in 2017. And as Chainlink continues to build, like a lot of the stuff that this guy was saying turned out to come true. And so there's this website called Chainlink Hub with the record of some of the things that this guy was saying. And it's pretty fascinating. So This was in 2017. These are screenshots. He was talking about how he was prepared for this. Let me see. He was like, look, I don't expect you guys to believe me about all of this. Just remember what I said. He's basically talking about, how all this stuff was going to happen with Chainlink, or he didn't say Chainlink at first, and then people kind of figured it out. So he was like, all right, like, yes, it's Chainlink. Um, and then he's like talking about like, look, guys, I don't think you understand. It would be literally illegal for me to mention all of this stuff, not to mention ruining my career. I'm under contract, just like everyone else involved in this project. Crypto's unregulated, so corporations have to make us sign iron tight contracts to the point where if I even fart and sounds like this coin's name, I'll get sued. He says, think about it. I work for a firm and know they're putting money in a coin. You can tell all your friends, buy it, etc. These people do not F around. This is $10 million just to test the waters. They have big plans. If the lead dev can start delivering, this company is powerful. I'm not trusting 4chan to not totally out me, essentially. And he was like, also for future reference, when you realize when I was right, you'll start to notice what real inside information looks like versus Larpers. So that's an interesting point.
And when did you find this?
Well, so the SEPA went through and found this. And yeah, so I personally had not heard a whole lot about this stuff. I had never heard of this character before. Yeah. But so essentially I went also to Reddit a little bit as well and was looking through this, and some people think that this is Sergey, basically, potentially here as well, talking about what was going to come. So, anyways, so yeah, so this is a big part of like the whole Link Marine stuff too, because these were the guys that were there for that side of this, right? They were in the 4chan hub, in the 4chans, talking about this stuff. And so there's also a website on chainlinkhub.com that has a list of all the Link Marines. And so they're all out here and listed. Chainlink God, up here in the top of all of these. And I guess this guy's okay, that doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, because this is just like a record. Oh man, Timo. Oh, I forgot about him too. Yeah, so anyways, so there's a whole thing, right? And these guys have got, a verified history of who were the people that were around at the time when this stuff. You see, look, this is pre-mainnet Link Marines right here. So people who were already in the game before mainnet even launched, right? So very cool, memorabilia of all of this. And these are the post-mainnet people. So super cool. And these are the OG Link Marines at the top. So there you go. Huge community, people that have been around for a long time. They've seen this go from literally it being just an idea to it now being worked with Swift, as well as the DTCC, the largest securities transaction custodian orchestrator in the world.
That's always been the thing with them that's had me the most intrigued, is how consistently they are working with the right people that can make it all happen.
Wait, say that again.
I'm saying they're always part of the conversation, but they're never the loudest, right? Like they're always there when the crypto people were there meeting with government officials and whatnot. Like Sergey was always there, right? Like he's always around the people that can actually make the reality a reality. Is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
I always found that very interesting, and I've always wondered why they weren't talked about more. That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So yeah, like now we're at the point to where Chainlink is the standard in DeFi. All right. If you're ever going to do any decentralized finance application, if you're using price feeds or trying to get the real price of things, you're working with Chainlink. And there's some incidents that have happened also that we briefly touched on that have led to even more of the standards of what Chainlink is doing being used. So we had a $292 million exploit where Kraken, Solvi, and you had Lombard that had another $1 billion exploit, I think, and then Kelp DAO, and all of these incidents that have happened just in like April and May of this year have led to migrations to Chainlink's cross-chain protocol. You had $4 billion moving over. Layer Zero, which is one of these kind of like competitors, admitted at the time they made a mistake. And Sergey had said directly in a recent interview, he said, look, you're not building the system for the 363 days when everything is smooth. You're building the system for the 2 days when everything goes crazy. And in April this year, we had some of those days. So also recently, Chainlink and AWS have made an announcement where there's an AWS marketplace where Chainlink data feeds, data streams, and proof of reserve services are now going to be available directly through Amazon Web Services to millions of enterprise developers. Okay, so that's massive.
Huge.
Imagine you're building out your cloud infrastructure. And you're like, hey, by the way, you want to use a Chainlink price feed in your application?
That's really cool utility.
Massive, massive, massive. Chainlink has also collaborated with the SIX exchange, which is the Swiss international exchange, which is like a digital blockchain-based exchange. They're providing equity data for over 2 trillion euros in market cap securities across Switzerland and Spain. There's also a Coinbase partnership that Chainlink has, helping Coinbase push its exchange market data on chain for the first time. You have stuff going on with Bridge Tower Capital, a $25 billion pipeline of energy, metal, and natural resources transactions starting to be tokenized using Chainlink. And Chainlink is also one of the only networks that has SOC 2 security certifications, ISO 27001 standardization, and a Deloitte certification as well. So anyways, lots of stuff going on in that ecosystem.
Always. Anything
Another
else?
thing, Eric Schmidt is a strategic advisor to Chainlink.
And who's Eric Schmidt?
Not a lot of people knew. He is the former CEO of this organization called Google.
Correct.
So let's hear what he was saying a few years ago, back in 2022, about some of this.
The Chainlink vision is basically cryptographic truth is always the right answer. So your religion, if I can say it, is don't trust the human, trust the protocol, right? So roughly what way to say it. Well, that is a scalable model if you can get the technology to scale. And that's likely a major contribution to the computer architecture going forward.
There you go. Coming from a former CEO of Google, that's definitely massive.
Yeah. Once again, it's like, who's spending their time on these things? Because when you're that level of successful in life, like, it's not that you don't care about money, but it's just a matter of like, what are you going to do with your time?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to go from being the CEO of Google to working at a startup that's going to help people, like,
yeah, they're the closest to it, right? Yeah. So like anything that Signal, he should have the easiest time detecting it because they're basically creating it.
Yes, exactly. And so if he's like, oh, I'm going to be a strategic advisor to Chainlink, there's a lot being said in that one sentence. It's that blockchain matters. It's that smart contracts matter. It's that oracles matter. It's that this is the future. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's a big statement in one breath there.
100%. And I want to show some love to How Are You Now? That's an awesome message in the chat saying, my friends and family think it's crazy that I listen to you guys for 3 hours at a time. They don't realize you guys condense 12 hours of research into 3 hours. Super informative, guys. Thanks again. No, we appreciate you, man. You're an incredibly valued member of the community. Cool. I didn't know we had that. Way to go, Super. But yeah, no, we appreciate you tremendously, and we're going to show you some more love in the community section of today too. But yeah, we definitely try to do that. And a lot of the things that we talk about here they seem like they don't matter right now because they don't matter until everyone else knows. And at that point, it's you've missed the opportunity of being really involved in it. Like, I really wish that people could go in a time machine back to when people were talking about the internet and how crazy people would have sounded then too. Right. So we definitely try to do that. A lot of things we talk about, you can't really convey the information in like a 60-second clip. So we definitely appreciate you tremendously for always being a super valued member of the community, and all of you guys. We appreciate all of you. Back to you, Keith.
Thanks, Ben.
Back to you.
So I did one of the things I did want to take a second and do here too is like, all right, what do I do? What do I do about this whole thing? Because a lot of people, it's like, oh, you got blockchain, you got a token, number go up, this and that, whatever, right? Cool. But the thing that I've been fascinated with for the past 5-6 years is like, how could I get involved with Chainlink? Because I think that that's a real opportunity here. So look, folks, some of the stuff is not as crazy and difficult as you think it is. And nowadays, you've got AI to help you. And so I went to Chainlink node operation stuff because I think that's a real opportunity here, is to become a Chainlink node operator. And if you're working in a business, if you're working in, yeah, dude, like if you're working in like a large company or a large organization, you've got a chance to build some crazy stuff. Now, whether or not you're going to get properly compensated for that, it's a different question. It's a different conversation to be had. But you could change things. A Chainlink node operator, right, is the backbone of the Chainlink network. They participate within the decentralized Oracle networks, allowing engineers to fetch external data in a secure and reliable manner. Right. So once again, you're taking information from one place. So once again, if you work at a large organization, there's tons of data. You can take that information and then serve it to an application. So from inside an organization, you could obviously open up data that might be relevant to other people to be used in applications, but then also you could step on the side of that and build an application that could make use of the data that you see that could be valuable to people. And so what does a Chainlink node need to operate? It needs the client software, which is open source infrastructure that a node operator runs. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You need an on-chain Oracle contract, which is a smart contract that monitors for data queries, right? You need a smart contract to know when something's being fetched, okay, from your Oracle, from your node. And then data source subscription. So you need some sort of off-chain data source, such as an API, okay, that the Chainlink node then connects to and fetches data on behalf of the requesting smart contracts. And then external monitoring systems, off-chain infrastructure that monitors the performance and reliability of your node. So this stuff is super cool to me because like it's really not that complicated. It's really not. When you think about APIs and standardized data formats, so TradingView has an API. Let's not use TradingView. Spotify has an API. So if you want like to get the information of how many streams does a song have, you can fetch that data from the Spotify API and use it in your application. So you could have a top 10 songs in the world right now website, and you could ask Spotify, hey, what are the top 10 songs in the world right now? And have a website that updates that list in real time. And so that's why, so that's Spotify's API. That's what that allows you to do, is fetch information from Spotify. So if you were a node operator on Chainlink, you could essentially have a node that fetches that information from Spotify and serves it in the Chainlink ecosystem, so that some application could also, if they want, trade on that, for instance. Like I think Drake's song is going to be more popular than Taylor Swift's song tomorrow. So let's like make an app that allows you to trade on that, which is where we're headed. And so, so yeah, so you could participate in being the node operator that's just responsible for getting the information from one place to another. Or you could build the app yourself if that's how you want to do it. So, but with that, you'd get paid fees every time that information is being fetched to be used in that application. So it's a real business. It's a real business opportunity. And that's a silly example, but like there's some real serious examples of how this could be used in major ways.
Totally. No, we're creativity and some persistence away from a lot of really cool things being built, right? Within Web3 and Chainlink's obviously a massive part of that because of everything you discussed. But there's so many things that are being built right now that aren't really appreciated because the prices aren't high. So people aren't thinking about what it could become, where we're just missing some builders and creativity.
Mm-hmm. And so there's the node operators that sit in between all that, but then there's also the data provider themselves too. Okay, so you can also be the data provider, right? The person who's offering up their data to be used, right? And so this is where I was saying, look, if you are if you're at the company, right, you can open up the data and sell that data, and the node operator is responsible for they get paid, right, fees for getting that data from one place to another. So, because the data provider themselves, they can't just provide the data because they're one single source of truth.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get paid for offering that data, but then you still need a node operator to participate in the verification of that data. So anyways, you can sell data to all blockchains through Chainlink. Hundreds of different blockchains supporting a wide variety of smart contract applications and uses in finance, insurance, gaming, global trade, and more. As a data provider, integrating with all these different chains is both time consuming and a strain on valuable resources that could otherwise be spent on core services as opposed to provisioning and maintaining infrastructure. So imagine you set up your API one time, you sell all that data to whoever is going to buy it. Cool. So look, you can launch your data sources Chainlink node in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And here's how you would do it, right? So look, there's a whole step one is you install Docker. Okay, so Docker is a containerization thing. So I'm not super technical, but essentially it allows you to like take an environment from one computer and use it in a different one. And all of this stuff, imagine you're doing it on the cloud. So there's all these different cloud services. Like I've set up a Chainlink node. So let me just walk you through like kind of like what you actually have to do. This is not sponsored, so I'm not suggesting that you use these products, darn it. But DigitalOcean is a cloud service provider. So what did I do? I went over here and I created a droplet where essentially you can you get a computer. All right, you get a dedicated computer, or at least you get a piece of a computer that you can use to do whatever you want to do. Why is this being rude to me? So bang bang. So you pay per tokens on the AI side. That's crazy now that they're doing that. Holy crap. And then you pay per GPU per hour. Imagine. So you might pay like $30 a month to run a computer, or this one right here. This one is just pure compute versus AI ML. Okay, gotcha. You can pay $4 a month for a droplet, which is just like a piece of a computer. You can set up your Chainlink node on that thing by going through this process over here, where you install Docker, you make your environment file, you set your ETH client. So essentially, you've got to like plug into Ethereum. You've got to connect your node to Ethereum. You need Ethereum to connect your node, to create your node. And so there's all these different clients and these node infrastructure providers, like for instance, Infura. So now you've got to create an account with Infura, because what they do is they create Ethereum clients or clients for whatever network. And that means that essentially, like, instead of having to run an Ethereum node, you just go to these guys because they run the Ethereum nodes and they allow you to plug into those nodes. And the reason you need that is because Chainlink smart contracts are mostly on Ethereum. Okay, so your node operator contract will be on Ethereum. And you need that because if you're going to get paid, right, every time you get paid, there's going to be smart contracts involved in making that happen on Ethereum. So you create your droplet on a cloud platform, which allows you to then create the node. But in creating your node, you need to connect to Ethereum in order to be able to get jobs and to get paid for your jobs. So you have to create an account with Infura or whoever. I'm not suggesting these products, darn it, they're not paying us. But and then from there, let's come back, connect your database. So you also need to use a database of some sort to store information. All this stuff is super streamlined when you're actually doing it. It sounds crazy, but it's not. And then you can start your Chainlink node. And now also, mind you, you guys have AI. When I did this, there was no AI. I had to learn all this stuff from scratch and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But I just highly recommend that at the very minimum, I think it's a great exercise to go through and set up a Chainlink node, even if you do nothing with it. You're going to learn so much about internet, cloud, blockchain, and how to think about making money online and why there's so much value in just doing these little things. Guys, like, this is not complex stuff. An engineer would laugh at you if you thought that what, this right here was hard. But anyways, that's my like takeaway action advice is like, go and try to set up a Chainlink node.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think it's as scary as people think that it is, and I think solving problems like this with AI is really where I think everyone can find value in it, right? I've always said on the show, it's the unstuck machine, and so why something like this specifically can be extremely valuable is because it also opens up levels of the game that are currently locked off to you right now because you're just not they're not even in your psyche of opportunity. So I think, yeah, that's a great exercise. Anything that's going to make you uncomfortable temporarily while learning, you're probably going to acquire a lot of information that's worth having.
Yes. And then Teo 3655, I love this. So he said, look, I've been going in circles with the whole coding process, but it's super cool to type in code and see it update on Expo Go. I don't know what Expo Go is in particular. But he said, new dopamine release unlocked. Dude, let's go. Let's go. 100%. It's such a fun process. I mean, it can sometimes really suck when you get stuck. But once again, you guys aren't even going to get stuck like that because you got AI. And whenever you do, you just keep prompting until you figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But like getting through, like for me, like it's tough to create something from scratch. Like to create a website or an app, like that's pretty hard for me. But yes, like once you get the functionality of it to work, it's super cool. That's the part that's fun to me. Making it look pretty, like, not fun. It sucks. But getting something to actually work or like connecting systems the way that you're doing when you're doing a Chainlink node is like really cool. Because like, whoa, like I just connected this to that, and and then you can see the output of it. And you see like, whoa, there's this thing now that can be done in the world because of you typing a little bit of code. So yeah, totally. In general, coding exercises like that, they do create new forms of dopamine unlocks. You start believing that you're capable of things that you didn't think you were capable of, and so on and so forth. Let's go, Robbie J.
Robbie says she's gonna set up a node.
And let us know where you get stuck.
Yeah. We have different definition of fun. It all depends what you're into.
Yeah, I mean, it's like math. Like I've always hated math in school. I hated math. But like there's that one topic that you do get, right? And it's like, oh, this is fun now. It's like, oh, it's fun because you get it. But with coding, it's just like, it's fun as soon as you get through that hump of like it being really hard. And then it's like, oh, but I did it though. And then it's fun, And each time you have to reset that. Don't get me wrong. At least for me, like I'm not a technical person. So like every time I'm like, this sucks. Like, oh, it worked. Let's go.
Yeah, that's a very rewarding experience. And I think a lot of people haven't done that enough because then you lose the fear of trying to try anything too. Because a lot of the hardest part is the 0 to 1. It's like getting started.
Most certainly. And yeah, I think like all kids should be forced to do some sort of coding because like, dude, like all the math classes that I took, bump that. Like, sorry, like let's apply it. Let's apply this stuff and logic beyond just math. So this was something too, like the epistemology of logic is something that I looked into once, and I'm trying to remember exactly how I looked at this, but there's like math is not just like what is math, right? It's kind of like the question that I'm thinking through, and I can't remember the actual. Okay, so there's logic is a piece of it, and like logic is like a it's like you zoom out. You have logic, and then there's math. But like logic is a piece of math because when you're doing mathematical operations, you have to think about in what order you're going to do them, right, and stuff like that. And so this concept of logic, like that thinking, is beyond math. But like I never was taught that or understood that. But if you take the logic piece of it all and you apply that, that's the skill that we should be learning, not math. The math itself is not helping many people. You do
the
the
math
math
is
on a
most
calculator.
memorization, useless memorization.
Yeah. And so I'm like, well, if you would have taught me to think about it like you can use logic to do things in the world, then I feel like that would have been so much more valuable. And so there's that, and like I said, coding is practical use of logic. It's practical use of logic and math to some degree. And so like I think people get so intimidated by programming and stuff because it seems like it's just math or whatever, but it's actually really not. It's logic, and then you can, if you want to get into the math, then you can do that. Like AI, like machine learning and all that stuff, like that's more mathematical. But coding itself is really not, man. It's just like it's like being a it's very similar to being a lawyer. It's very similar to the process of law. It's like you've got a case with facts. You've got laws that either apply or do not apply. You have different ways in which you can apply or not apply that law. You have procedures that have to be followed when trying to go through the applications of these laws. And so anyways, like that type of skill set is what we should be teaching people, not what is the slope of this line, brother.
How should you teach that?
Coding. Yeah, because it teaches all of that in one. And then also you get something. There's something that you get at the end. You know, there's an app that's been built. There's something that someone could use. And I just think that like, and maybe I just, you know, I'm not a math person and I don't understand math. And I'm sitting here talking about math. Like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. So anyways, but then you can make practical use of math. Now all that math stuff, oh, what does it actually allow me to do? Oh, it allows me to build this thing.
That's the empowering part.
Yeah. So anyways, rant over.
I like it.
You see anything in the chat?
I'm just seeing some people replying to your retweet of our stream and just some funny stuff. Everyone's so angry on the internet nowadays. So crazy. We should talk about that later too.
Oh, most definitely. Oh yeah, I guess you do got the Knicks on.
Mm-hmm.
Knicks going to the finals now?
Yeah, the NBA finals.
Let's go.
They're waiting for whoever's coming out of the West.
Word. So Tail 3655, what would someone do with a node? You would start fetching data and serving it to applications. So that's the one thing about it is like, if you're just a node operator, you have less agency over what happens next because you're going to have to work with whatever data providers there already are and with whatever applications there already are. So you then need to basically go out and find the people that are building and say, look, I can help you get this data in some way, or I'll connect you to this data, or here's a way in which you could use the data that I'm interested in.
Why would they not just do it themselves?
Build the app themselves.
Well, if you're saying that the node allows them to pull the data that will then be used in their app, why would they not just do it themselves?
Well, it's not that they won't do it themselves as well, but it's that you can still be a part of the. Well, first off, because that's not necessarily what they're trying to do. Like, if I'm building an app, I can do that. I can build my own node, but then that becomes its own thing. Where is the ROI of doing that activity there? It's just like vertical integration or horizontal integration of anything.
If anything, yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can do it internally, but it's like now you've got that infrastructure to maintain.
Yes, more headaches.
Yeah, but that's a great question. So then it comes down to networking, and now that there's so many people building that, like this isn't that big of a deal anymore. You can find people that are building stuff and get into these ecosystems and participate and learn and get around so many different people. Um, but the real edge is going to be in thinking about building applications, right? Like, what are the actual apps that don't exist yet in terms of where there's APIs? There's so many APIs on the internet, right? So if you're thinking about, okay, but how do I build an application that uses this API in a way that's valuable to the world? That's where you can generate a lot of alpha. So it's not just being a node operator, but that is, but to really get this, that's a great first step.
And what is an API?
So from what I understand, an API is an application programming interface where essentially if I have a database, I can create an API that allows people to call the information or get the information from my database in a standardized format. So yeah, so it's a set of rules or protocols that allow different software applications to communicate and share data with each other. It is a software bridge or a messenger that takes a request from one program, tells another program what to do, and then brings a response back. Yep. So this is a good analogy. It gives a restaurant analogy. It says you have a customer, which is the client. You want to order food from the menu. You want to get data. You have the kitchen or the server, the place that prepares your food. It's where the data sits. And then you have the waiter or the API, which is the messenger who takes your order to the kitchen and brings your food back to you. So hopefully that's helpful.
Cool.
And the thing about APIs is there's like these different standards for APIs. And so there's like a REST API. I forget exactly what the REST stands for. It's like replication something. And what that means is that like there's specific formats for ways to pull the data from the API, so that if you build something, you essentially like everybody's got different types of data in their databases. But like if there's a standardized format for what it looks like when you pull that data, for instance, in a JSON format, I don't know if that's helpful, but it's like there's specific notation that's used when you're pulling that data. And so when you're doing that, when you have a standardized way of doing that, then when you get information from one database or one API, and you need to call information from another API, which could be totally different types of data, it's at least in a format that is still the same, so that you can then build applications on your end that allow you to display that information from anywhere in a standardized format as well. And there's other things that you probably get from having these REST APIs or these standards for how APIs work that makes it way easier and better to manipulate and work with data. So DC Per says, I understand the utility of Chainlink, but it seems a bit theoretical. How would companies benefit from putting data into the blockchain? Okay, well, because they can sell it. First off, you've now opened up your data to a global buyer. That's the first thing if you're talking about from the company's perspective. But then it's the perspective of like, well, what can be done with the data? And so, and this is, for instance, like tokenized securities, which means you can now have 24/7 trading. You can have potentially permissionless global access to securities trading. You can have fractionalized ownership of securities, because now you can use securities on a blockchain, period. But you couldn't do that at all if you didn't have an oracle that allows you to know that the price of this thing is secure when it's being used on the blockchain. So hopefully that kind of answers the question. And those are just the two things that came to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if I'm Google and I've got unlimited data.
Mm-hmm.
I might know how to monetize it, but what if I also, there's going to be certain kinds of data that I'm not afraid of sharing. And if other people can use it and I can monetize that data from someone else and have a global marketplace for that data, then like, bro, I'm winning. And really what that would actually look like, let me tell you what that really is going to look like. Google's not selling the data, but the Google Cloud users will, right? So I'm a company that's using Google Cloud. All my data is sitting on their servers. I'm not a data company. I'm, someone who does, I don't know, I build software. I build websites. Like I am Yahoo Finance. Like in a way they kind of are a data provider, but like I'm a journalist. But there's information on my servers that people might want and I can sell it to them. But I'm going to use Google Cloud because Google is hosting that information and they built out a marketplace where I can just go there and sell standardized formats of data on the Google marketplace to other application builders or whoever else. And that's what I think that ends up looking like.
Data is the new oil.
Exactly. And that's why Chainlink by Amazon Web Services, Chainlink by Google Cloud, Chainlink by Microsoft Azure. Like those are massive partnerships because it enables that kind of a world.
Totally.
But what else we got in the chat?
I think that's people are talking about petrodollar, things of that nature. But chat, anything else on Chainlink in particular?
What code should people learn?
Like language?
Yeah, I don't know if that's what was being asked because I might be just too deep into a different conversation there. But if I had to answer that question, what would you say?
I think it depends on what you want to build.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. The one thing that I've noticed is that like JavaScript shows up everywhere. And it allows you to do almost anything when you adapt it to the thing that you're trying to do.
Yes.
Which means like using libraries and stuff like that.
Totally. Yeah, that's very sound advice. Even a lot of mobile apps are like built with React, but that's like a JavaScript. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's definitely a solid starting point.
Yep. And it's also just a simpler thing. But yeah, it depends. Like if you're someone who's really into the stuff, I find like C and all that stuff cool. Mm-hmm. I have no idea how to use it. But that's something that's so cool to me too, is like, so you got all these different programming languages that like exist at like different levels. As in like basically like C is close to the hardware. Is kind of how you describe that, I think, in the world. Is like you're basically talking to the hardware when you're typing in and you're coding in C or C#, C+, whatever. But like C is like I think like the base bare bones where you like have to define like your memory and stuff when you're trying to create an app. But then you have like a step up, which is like C+, which is like, okay, it's not literally like almost binary code, but it's kind of like C, but you just got like a little bit further, more abstraction. So you don't have to like define your memory in every single step of the way. Which I don't even actually understand. I just know that that's a thing that you have to do. And I guess the idea is like computational resources that need to be used to perform a thing. But anyways, and then you get to like JavaScript, where it's like you're not even like none of that is being talked about. You're just you're much more like abstracted away from all of that, and you're just building an app on top of the software based upon defining variables and stuff like that, and all of that stuff that we were talking about is happening in the background. You don't even think about that. But obviously that makes it less possible for you to define like memory that's being used in each function of your thing. So you get less control, but you get way more abstractions where you don't have to like define what operating system you're on, what computational resources need to be used at each level of the way, and stuff like that. So, anyways,
No, it's all worth learning. Like it's, I think picking something. People debate like what they should learn. It's like just start with one something and then see. You don't know what you don't know.
100%. Cool.
Sweet.
I see a tweet that you sent me a few minutes ago.
Yeah, that's from Sergey. It's his most recent tweet, and it's quite comprehensive. So I figured it might be worth walking through because it's the key trends he's increasingly excited about. And he posted not that long ago.
Cool. So yeah, so this came out a few days ago. And Sergey Nazarov, the founder of Chainlink, has 3 trends that he's increasingly excited about. He says, 1, our industry has started caring much more about the security and reliability of the infrastructure, standards and Oracle's dependencies that it is built on top of. The shift in focus towards security is already massively benefiting Chainlink because it is built with security and reliability in mind from the start. 16 nodes versus 1 of 1 or 2 of 2, which is actually often just a 1 of 1 in disguise. This focus on reliability and security makes a better system for everyone in the DeFi TradFi industry to transact with less risk and leads to more overall Chainlink adoption over time. The way Chainlink became the leading data oracle is through security and reliability. I think that will happen across all categories where Chainlink deploys services for the same reasons. Okay, so he's saying the same trend in cross-chain interoperability, with many large users migrating over to CCIP after conducting deeper security reviews of bridging providers, and more of which are now being published. Some telling quotes down below, right? So Kraken chose Chainlink because of the security certifications that we talked about a little bit earlier. Bang, bang. The second thing is that Chainlink has always continued to build and added many of its best features during down markets, when there is less noise to distract top teams from building. Because Chainlink already has clear product market fit, being able to focus on building the future is a powerful accelerant for future progress and is actually what I and many of the people are building Chainlink for. I'm very excited about both the use case specific features, e.g. collateral management, and increasing number of reusable primitives, verifiable confidential compute in the Chainlink runtime environment, which are now actively being built, refined, and launched with top users. In my experience, during the down market lulls is when the best things are built, and I'm truly thrilled to see Chainlink being built to better serve its existing users and entirely new users. Okay, so they've got something else they're cooking on, I guess. And then third, he's excited about RWA, real world assets, TradFi tokenization, and digital assets, and how it's now decoupled from crypto prices as a determining factor of its success and is a rapidly growing market of its own. Great news for the technologies, standards, and infrastructures that can serve this new growing demand, of which Chainlink is at the very top of the list, by having the relevant certifications, being the historically most secure, reliable option with the largest amount of value enabled, and being able to compose multiple key primitives, data and interoperability, and identity compliance, verifiable off-chain orchestration into full end-to-end solutions like no other platform can. And that puts them in a unique place. So yeah, those are the things that he's the most excited about.
Sergey.
Cool.
You can go follow him at Sergey Nazarov on Twitter.
And also shout out to Zach Rines, Chainlink God, running strategic initiatives at Chainlink, talking about the $4 billion in value migrated from legacy cross-chain and data oracles to Chainlink within just the past few weeks. And he says, just use Chainlink. Just use Chainlink. It's pretty funny. That's their new motto, I guess, because
that's their slogan.
Yeah. It's like everybody's trying to do all this other stuff, but we're telling you right now, this is where to be from the beginning. Cool.
Dope.
So other than that, I guess we could, what do you think? How you feeling?
We can move on.
All right, dude. It's time for the second half. And today, I've got some news.
Hit me with the news. Boom.
Fantastic. So first things first around here.
Do you have the doc? Do you need it?
I don't. So
it's in the Slack. Siba shared it.
Yeah, we got to make sure we get it in the doc as well next time. But yep, let's see.
The bottom. The PDF.
Yep.
I can also put it on if you need me to. Okay.
So the first things first is we had a CIA officer apparently getting arrested by the FBI for having 303 gold bars worth over $40 million in his Virginia home.
Dang. Yep. So that's where the gold's not in Fort Knox. It's at his house.
That's his crib, yo. And so the guy who was arrested here claimed that the gold and cash were CIA issued for work expenses, but a lot of it also went unaccounted for.
40 mil? What kind of expenses does he have?
I mean, listen, I'm just going to be honest. Like, that sounds like some CIA stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
fair.
Of course. Like, that's what they do, you know? So, you know, he probably, what really happened here, he made somebody mad. And they were like, all right, bro, I'm finishing the feds to raid your crib. But to finish the story, the official story, agents also seized $2 million in cash and 35 luxury watches during the raid on May 18th. The case has sparked public outrage over government accountability and gold reserve security. I think that is reasonably so.
I wonder if the watches were the APs, the new APs.
Yeah, she's got a bunch of the new APs so that he can bribe folks. But yeah, I mean, it's so interesting to me. Like, that is, you know, what they do. They've, you know, the CIA is such a crazy concept. Right?
Bro,
like,
all the intelligence institutions are mental.
Yeah, man. It's like these are civilian agencies that perform military operations, for one. And
you can't vote them in.
You can't vote them in. They've got black box budgets that apparently also include gold bars that can be distributed for the work that needs to be done, you know?
Yeah, if you look into the advent of a lot of those, you start to ask even more questions.
Yeah, you gave me a book to read that I started listening to, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty mental. And then the fact that basically, if you think about that, with the amount of power they have, like they see the president as a temporary employee. You know what I'm saying? They're like, he'll be gone in 4 years. Who cares? You know what I mean?
Crazy stuff. Yeah, these guys, they don't have tenure. They're just there. They don't have any limits on their stay in these organizations. And so even the people that are the head of these organizations, right, they get plucked in and out. But the people who work under them, they are there. They've got all the secrets. They've got all the data. They got all the info. So really, you can easily probably blackmail that person. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And in fact, the person that you appoint almost needs to be blackmailable.
Yeah. It's the more you go down the rabbit hole, the more you realize that, like, as long as they can keep creating some form of money that they are closer to the ability to create, like, how could you ever stop it? Exactly. I don't know how you can.
I don't know. Next piece. This has got a lot of people excited. In fact, the price is up today. The DTCC has also announced that they're doing some tokenization with Stellar. So the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, quadrillions of dollars being processed in securities transactions every year. And the Stellar Development Foundation, the creator of the Lumens XLM token, they've announced plans to tokenize DTC custodied assets on the Stellar public blockchain. These assets are expected to be available on Stellar in the first half of 2027. So this advances the DTCC's multi-chain strategy after the SEC approval for real-world asset tokenization. So, yep, this is going on. People are super excited about that. People were getting mad at me because I wasn't talking about Stellar.
That's classic. What is DTCC?
My bad. The DTCC is the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. They are at the center of the clearing of securities transactions in the United States. So someone buys a stock, someone buys a bond. There's a seller of that bond, but then there's all the people in between. got the broker in between who's like responsible for like managing the actual orders and the prices of the thing. But then you've got the actual security underlying that needs to move around from one place to another. And the DTCC essentially is responsible for making sure that the actual contract or security is properly going to the rightful owner.
Got it.
Cool. So yeah, so that's another piece of this that I think is interesting to think about, because it's not super clear to me that the DCCC's tokenization is like, nah, maybe that's not the right way to think about it. What's happening is they're kind of like eliminating some of the needs for these intermediaries, right? Because really all you need is the custodian. Let me, it's not true. The job of the broker changes, I guess is what it comes down to, because they're still going to be responsible for helping to settle the pricing aspect of it. This is interesting. The pricing still needs to be set by the exchange and the broker. But the settlement of the actual physical thing does not have to happen with the broker anymore or the exchange. The custodian can do that on their own. They can say, okay, it goes from this wallet to that wallet. But the price at which that's happening at is not my concern. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting stuff to think about, though.
Always. Yeah, it's I think a lot of the rules of the road are being written, and we'll see how it impacts on a foundational level.
Yes, sir. Next piece, Gmail apparently has made it to where you can change your email address.
Interesting.
The old address can become an alternate that still receives email and all data stays intact. Wow.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty dang cool. Okay, yeah, interesting. Rumble, apparently, guys, making a pivot to AI compute. The Rumble CEO, Chris Pavlovski, announced the launch of an AI compute as a service by mid-June. The move leverages Northern Data acquisition. That's right, because I guess I did hear about them acquiring something, which was around 22,000 NVIDIA GPUs and 250 megawatt data centers. This aims to offer privacy-focused alternatives to Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud. The stock jumped 7 to 9% on the news amid AI infrastructure boom. Ben, what you got for me?
Who is Rumble?
Oh, yeah. So that's a great question. Rumble is they're a YouTube competitor, and essentially a place where people are streaming live as well.
Yes.
So
yeah, they tried to take on YouTube, and so I think that I don't know if they're gonna be able to do that. So obviously, I think diversifying your product lineup is not a bad thing, and especially with how hot everything is, probably makes financial sense.
That's true. I didn't really think about the fact that they're probably just not winning as far as trying to compete with YouTube.
They can't, dude. Like they would need to overhaul their product completely, and I'd imagine it would be like too much of a thing where by the time it's done, you've lost so much opportunity that they got to find other ways to win. So yeah, this kind of stuff is makes sense. Like freaking Allbirds became an AI company, and like right, like that's kind of a trend we're seeing. So I think that this probably makes sense. But for what Rumble is, if you've never been there, guys, it's just like a free speech social media. So essentially, their value prop is that you can go there and say basically whatever you want, kind of deal, and you won't get censored. Which, because censorship is a pretty big deal on all platforms, and YouTube's not immune to that whatsoever. And they, even for most topics, they won't necessarily censor you; they just won't show you to anyone. So the topic or the saying always goes, do you have freedom? You have freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach, right? So that if there's certain topics that they want to suppress, they won't not let you post it. Typically, they just won't show it to anyone, which is basically the same thing.
Right. Great explanation there. So yeah, so that's Rumble. They're making that pivot to now privacy, or excuse me, yeah, hold on. What was it? privacy-focused alternative to Amazon Web Services, right? And so the reason that's so relevant in AI is like all of these data centers, right, are going to be essentially being operated by these huge companies that don't care necessarily about your privacy. And so if you can have, like, basically ChatGPT could potentially contract with Rumble to create a privacy line of their business,
Mm.
right? Imagine, because they set up the privacy infrastructure. So ChatGPT can say, okay, well, you want ChatGPT private, then you pay this. It'd be an interesting thing to do, right? Because obviously people probably want all of it to be private, but that might be the business model moving forward. I mean, think about it. Our data has always been the product.
Oh, yeah. Because data is knowledge. Knowledge is control.
And so at least if they're like, well, we're giving you the option to have privacy, you just got to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Then isn't that technically a step forward?
Yeah, we'll get to decide, hopefully. Maybe not. But I do think that there's more and more people at least pitching the whole privacy narrative a lot for different things they're doing. So if people demand it enough, you'd hope that the right voices get lifted to the forefront. But we'll see on all that. We're having Charles back on again. So I think we can also dive into this topic with Midnight, what they're trying to do there too.
Mhm. Totally. So next piece, Trump made a statement about crypto. He posted a pro-crypto statement claiming he saved the industry from Gary Gensler and the critics. He declared, what are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at saved crypto. I feel like people on crypto Twitter will not agree with that.
Let's read the tweet. So Gary Gensler, or the truth. Gary Gensler and the anti-crypto army nearly destroyed the American crypto industry by driving Bitcoin, crypto perpetuals, and innovation offshore. But Trump saved it.
There's no shot he wrote this, bro.
I mean, who says that?
I
know. America is now the crypto capital of the world, and builders and entrepreneurs are coming back to the United States where they belong. Under the leadership, we will codify a future-proof digital asset market structure that cannot be undone by the crypto haters. The new frontier of finance is being built in America, and Trump will never let crypto down. President Donald J. Trump.
He'll never let you down.
He'll never let you down, guys, and he's definitely saying that because price is in the dumps right now.
Yeah, if you get to pick the criteria, then I guess he's not lying. Because if he gets to pick what letting you down looks like,
right? Yeah. Sharp said, "Bring back Gary." That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, we definitely saw way more gains under Gary than we've seen now. That's without a doubt.
I know, it's so funny that crypto thought that bringing in institutional money would solve our problems.
Yeah.
Or like pump our bags, none of which happened. But I still think that they might announce something pretty big for the 250-year thing, the 4th of July.
I think it's super possible, man. I think it's weird how quiet things have gotten since, but then again, here we are, right? Him making this statement, and then last week or 2 weeks ago, he signed a fintech executive order, and then like a crypto executive order, and so like things are starting to roll, and the strategic Bitcoin reserve is starting to pick back up again, right? As we're getting closer.
And on Fox News, they're talking about this shit all the time.
Word.
Like I've been keeping tab with their YouTube channel, and they're talking about this quite frequently. So it does seem like they're priming people to be okay with something. What that is, your guess is as good as mine.
Word up. The next piece that I had here is Meta launching app subscriptions. So Meta has now announced paid plus tiers. You have Instagram and Facebook at $3.99, WhatsApp at $2.99. And what they're going to be doing is offering premium features like story analytics, extended stories, and custom themes. Core free experience will stay unchanged for billions of users, but this is a move to add revenue beyond ads and to fund AI projects. Some people are upset, saying, look, they have subscription fatigue on these once free platforms.
Anything that's free, they'll get you later. Or anything that seems too cheap, they'll get you later, right? Like that's what they've done on every service.
You know, once again, dude, like we've been talking about this stuff, right? But like, I think this is it, right? You pay a minimum monthly, you get your data back. And instead, now you're bought into, if your data is so valuable, now you get access to a marketplace where you can sell it. So yeah, you're paying us a monthly amount, but you can also now set up your data to be sold on our data marketplace in the background. So now instead of us just selling your data, you're paying us. So at least we're covered for all of the stuff that we're giving you. And we'll take a little piece of the transactions when you're selling your data to these advertisers.
Why do they have to give us any of it?
They'll do it in exchange for a subscription.
So you're saying they would opt for the guaranteed revenue? Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, this was all pretty inevitable, like them expanding to do more and more of this. But it's also kind of a pain in the ass because it depends, like, how big of an advantage does this become, right? And then does there basically become a pure pay to play reality of social media, which I think that's probably a pretty inevitable reality, which kind of undermines the core like value prop of what they were saying they were doing by giving us social media, which was democratizing attention and access to community. But it's also like we talked about last night that the incentive structures on the social media platforms, maybe for a capitalistic environment, they're what they should be. But in terms of humans, they're horrible. Like they're so bad because they just create people that spread more bad things really, really fast. So, and we were talking about this also last night as well, Keith, where how like as of right now on Instagram, especially, I'm noticing that there's so many things that are about like revolution and all this stuff, and they're getting like so many views, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I do wonder why they're letting us see all that.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing for sure. It's bubbling up. Conversations are definitely being had. I remember the warehouse fires about a month ago now, and people starting to get crazy about that too. And yeah, so
Yeah, it makes you wonder: is it coordinated? How much of it's coordinated? 'Cause some degree of it definitely is, but it's because these things are crazy videos that it's crazy how quickly we get desensitized to things, right? Like, and also how much worse things can feel when you're consuming from your phone, right? Because like everything that you're watching feels like it's beside you, but it's not actually real, but the feelings are real. Do you know what I mean? And
totally
like I'm seeing videos every single day of like people being like, we can overthrow the government and all this shit. And it's like just chill that that's on Instagram. I'm a massive advocate of freedom of speech, but the fact that they've suppressed things that are far less chaotic before
right.
makes me very skeptical of the natural state of these things occurring.
No doubt.
Yeah, Mary says Charles is having some upheavals, having to close his family's health clinic. He's going to focus on the crypto biz. Yeah, we'll talk to more him about that too. But he used to have a clinic, Keith. I don't know if you're aware of that. And the healthcare business in America is screwed, man. Like it's just it's a mess of bureaucracy and like if you're not part of the club, you can't participate kind of deal. And I think he went in with the best of intentions and then was forced to face the reality of how fucked that system is.
Right. Very interesting. I did not know that at all.
Mm-hmm. So that's shut down recently. He did say in the video that Mary's referring to that he's going to focus purely on the crypto business. So hopefully that does better things for the ADA holders and Knight and all that stuff. But what else you got for me?
Right. Well, at this point, it's actually time for the memes.
Time for the memes. I like memes. There it is.
Awesome. So today we've got some things to react to. First and foremost, we had the showdown between Vibu and what's the guy's name? Drews, and the result of the trade that they were doing. So there was these guys that came together. Vibu came out and was like, "Hey, I'd love to challenge someone to a trade duel," and then I'm pretty sure, promoting this trading platform called Phoenix Trade, and they're basically trading perps. So, anyways, you had a pro hyperliquid trader turn $10,000 into around 18,400 in a week during a week-long perp challenge on Phoenix Trade. So Vivu over that time actually lost $9,700 from his 10,000, and the winner takes a $1,000 bet, and Vivu actually donated that to St. Jude's charity.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's how that went down. Basically, this guy also said, look, meme coin traders don't define Solana. Apparently, perp traders don't either. Huge props to Vivu and the Solana Foundation for taking on this challenge and giving him the opportunity. Regarding Phoenix Trade, he said it's much better than he thought, but it's still a lot of work that needs to be done. But the team, based on his limited interactions with them, has seemed competent enough to figure it out. So he said he came out of this with more friends, more experience, and more cash to buy Hyperliquid. So that's super cool. I don't know if I'm going to cover that one. We had this guy over here buying Bitcoin. Wealth Squad Chris said, look, I've been buying $1,000 worth of Bitcoin every day for the last 6 months. When Bitcoin hits 800,000, I'll look back and see that I was stacking $10,000 every day. What are your thoughts on that one?
Is that real?
I don't know, but I mean, the idea is just, he's stacking 1,000 Bitcoin, $1,000 worth of Bitcoin every day. And eventually that's 10K.
Yeah, if we see the price move that way, of course. But it depends on your time horizon. What does Tyler say? That's your boy, right?
Yeah. Tyler said, the small daily stacks always look boring until the price goes vertical.
Yeah. I think I know it hurts and doesn't feel good to be stacking things right now. And it does leave you questioning your sanity, saying maybe I'm just completely wrong. Maybe this is all not real. But that's usually the feelings of when you should be stacking. So yeah, it's definitely a trying time within. If you go on Twitter, people are so depressed, man.
Yeah. And for a guy like that, I don't know him, but I imagine he's probably been around. Oh, okay, I do know who these guys are. I've seen these guys before. Like, it's like this every time. So it kind of does become mechanical. Like, I saw the prices down this morning myself, no financial advice. And you know what I did? I was like, looks juicy. Let me go and get it in there. And yeah, small stack of $1,000. Definitely
small
regretted.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's like, yeah, you kind of just, all the emotions have to be taken out of the game. And even when I also still feel that way, I'm like, dang, like maybe we're crazy, but I also felt that way 4 years ago when we went through that other bear market. I felt like that 4 years ago when we went into the first bear market that I ever went through. And I was like, well, I guess it's just how it goes. But
yeah.
Yeah,
it's definitely a dark time, but this is when fortunes are made, right? It's maybe it's never coming back, but definitely, like you said, go look at charts, right? Imagine what people were feeling at those times and what was being said, and also you also have to remember how the timing of the world lines up with all these things too. So people were angry and sad and frustrated in general, and then you pile this on top of that, so then the depression would feel even more severe. Then also couple that with the fact that people use social media more than they ever have before. That's not healthy for the brain, one. And two, again, they're angry, so they're saying a lot more. And there's also, people have now realized that if I say more shit that gets people going, I stir the pot, I get incentivized with attention. So it's all these factors that are creating the feeling.
Facts, man. Somebody said, or Cross Central said, buying freedom, in quotes. And then, oh, snap, I lost it. He said, buying freedom. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, yeah, you should definitely get it off there. I think a lot of people are very complacent on doing that. But it's definitely, I think it's a good practice. And it's become easier to do all these things as well. Like to self-custody, I was looking into what Jeff had said, like the Bitcoin session stuff for running a node and whatnot. And even that seems like it's not as complex as I thought either.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's good hygiene, but a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah, yes. So you buy there, guys. You don't have to buy on the DAX. In fact, when it comes to Bitcoin, I don't think you can buy it on. I mean, there's ways to buy it peer to peer.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's
sure
what he meant to
Jeff
say.
would.
He's saying store it, like getting it off there.
Yeah, but he said using a sex to buy their crypto.
He meant, yeah, but he's saying he meant store.
Oh,
crypto,
okay.
like leaving it there. That's how I read it as well.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's not what he said. And then Mary said, heard Mark Cuban sold a bunch of his Bitcoin. Yeah, we talked about that a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
He's not really in. I wouldn't really. He may be rich, but he was the guy who he's obviously super successful, but he was right place, right time. Like
he says it himself.
Yeah, yeah. He didn't used to as much. It's probably just been enough like things where he's like, yeah, I guess that's true. But like any human to become that rich, like there's a strong degree of luck involved.
100%. 100%. Yep. That's that one. And then Sam Altman made some statements recently. He basically walked back his statement about the AI jobs apocalypse. He said AI probably won't trigger the job apocalypse that he once predicted. He thinks that AI is unlikely to cause the mass job losses he once predicted. He said he's delighted to be wrong after a slower white-collar displacement than previously expected.
They're such charlatans, man.
Somebody said, yeah, he figured out that wasn't a popular thing to say.
Yeah, I tweeted something the other day where I said it's evident that I'll just read it specifically. I said, it's clear the AI people talk to marketers, but they clearly undervalued the importance of a great marketer. A great marketer would have spotted this inevitable pitfall in their marketing strategy. We've been sold the lie that all attention is good attention in the attention economy. That is incredibly short-sighted. It's impossible to appreciate the potential consequences of getting this wrong when your lens of analysis is how other social media scandals came and went. This isn't a guy taking a selfie in a suicide forest. This is the public's ability to support their family and the perceived destruction of their personal identity and everything attached to it. Maybe this was all part of the plan, but I think they fumbled the messaging hard. Unless chaos was always the goal, which obviously it was. But then what are the consequences attached to that they're feeling now? And with these IPOs going on, like that shit's crazy too.
Yeah. So building up huge levels of hype and fear into these IPOs, and then yeah, maybe this is what that's all about too. It's just like posturing so that the public actually still wants to own the company.
Okay. Yeah. It's messed up, and yeah, it's crazy to see all the messages. And Twitter's, because you and I spend a good chunk of time on Twitter, we're closer to where all these things take place, and it's where these stories start. And then people take the bullshit that is spread on Twitter and then they bring it to whatever other platform. And almost everyone's become an AI creator too, right? So like these platforms are clearly, whether I do wonder, is it like, are they juicing it in the algorithm on purpose to normalize like, oh, everyone's doing this, so I need to start doing this too? Or is the demand just also actually there? Is it a bit of both? Who knows, right? Because almost every creator is basically just becoming an AI creator, but like an education-based one.
In what way? Like how?
Go look at all the crypto shows. How many of them are talking about crypto? They're talking about AI.
Okay, so you're saying the topics that they're covering is AI.
That's what I mean.
Not
Yeah. In every
AI.
other like lens, and I get it, is like it's a pivotal technology, but a lot of other, especially like crypto is one of the perfect analogies. How many of these big crypto-based media outlets, they barely even talk about it anymore. So yeah.
Yep. Even Rumble, even whole business lines, uprooting everything to go into this AI thing in an attempt to garner potentially the publicly traded stock, right? So whatever
We're gonna have
comes with that.
$3 trillion IPOs.
Crazy. I don't know. Next piece we had was Larry Fink talking about AI funding. He says trillions must be spent on AI data centers and power grids to beat China. Funding will come from ordinary people's savings accounts and pension funds. Fink calls the massive private investment mandatory for US tech leadership, and this sparked outrage over using retirement money for these elite AI projects. Let's hear a little bit of what he was saying to, I guess, Texas.
To think about growing with the United States, we will have far than enough money to invest in this infrastructure. But as the governor was talking about, the need for electrons is growing every day. Some of these, if we're going to be the leader in technology, which we are, if we are going to be the leader in AI, which we presently are, it's just going to require trillions of dollars of investments. And if we don't invest in it, China will be the global leader in this. And so to me, it's not whether, this is a must. And if you think about how that translates, it translates into a more dynamic economy. We need the United States economy to grow at over 2%. We need the US economy to grow at 3%, especially with the growing deficits the federal government has. And so much of this money, not just the project, is going to be coming from the private sector, from savings accounts, from pension accounts, from insurance companies, and on and on and on. The whole world is in need of improving the infrastructure. If we can get more and more.
You're muted, buddy.
So Larry Fink talking about all of that.
I totally see why people hate those guys.
Why would you say that?
Because it's like they're always talking from like their ivory tower as if these are foregone conclusions that we should just know and comply with. And I really think the data centers is where they're kind of going over their skis there. People are getting very pissed about that. And also even the narrative of like, oh, if we don't do this, like China will do this. Like these are all very convenient narratives that are very difficult to like fact check any of these. So it's like, I also think about this a lot too, about how like we act like we're so evolved as like a society and species. And it's like, if you go back through ancient time when we look at things as being barbaric, like there's so many parallels to how we operate today. You know what I mean? Like they may be in a shinier package that seems like it's disguised more in freedom sauce, but it's like, it's the same shit. But yeah, that's what they keep saying.
Totally. Thomas Massie, a representative out of Kentucky, after losing his primary, went on TV to tell Meet the Press that he will name additional billionaires from unredacted Epstein files on the House floor. He accuses Trump's attorney general and FBI director of withholding millions of pages and over-redacting in violation of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Massie previously named Leon Black, Jess Staley, and Leslie Wexner after reviewing files with Representative Ro Khanna, calling for a Department of Justice investigation. So this is popping back up. Any thoughts on that?
I still think that's going to be a big point. Like which way it goes, I don't know. But it seems like it's like a card that somebody is waiting to play. And in what way, I don't know. But it does seem like the delivery mechanism of that, how it was done, all of these things feel like theater to me. Like the things that happened in it, I'm not saying they're not real at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like how it's been dripped out to us. It feels very, very, very deliberate. And it's like it almost try to seem like it's like, oh, frantic and chaotic, but I think it's all been pretty well scripted. So I think they might like, someone may release that and it was like to be the good guy at some point. Who knows?
Fair. Totally, man. The World of Statistics dropped a tweet the other day and they said, if all humans suddenly lost the ability to lie, what industry would collapse first?
Fucking all of them.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting thing there.
Well, that's also, is the omission of the truth a lie?
It's a good question. Yeah.
Because that would change that dynamic completely.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of inconvenient truths that get just disregarded, right? So it's like, I'm sure some people would say that's lying. But yeah, it's very interesting to think about. I think money itself would probably start to crumble. Like it's It's a fun thought experiment. But what would collapse first? I don't know. I think it'd be a tsunami.
Senator Rand Paul,
Healthcare, probably.
he said, government.
The government thing is crazy. Yeah, it's very funny.
Someone said lawyers would be tough because whole profession is based on one side lying.
Yeah, it's true.
It's pretty funny. Human resources, interesting. Law, sales, and politics.
Man, most of our jobs are all so silly. Like, and I'm not saying mine's not immune to that, right? Like, it's all so funny that we attach meaning to a lot of these things. It's super silly, and everyone's just trying to like maintain their spot in it, right? Like, so much of this is bullshit, but we're all just trying to like say why our spot isn't bullshit. And that's like a nature of a human is like the system is pretty well perfectly designed for like the people who are complaining about it to also kind of maintain it through their energy and their actions. So it's quite fascinating.
Right. Next piece, Kai Cenat, mega
Huge
streamer,
streamer. Yeah.
announced that he's retiring from streaming, which I think he kind of had done already. He claims having over $500 million in his bank account and over $800 million earned, calling streaming a setback for his fashion brand and acting. People are responding with skepticism over the massive figures, for one, and also the sudden passion shift. And so this is sparking debate on streamer wealth, loyalty, and career pivots in content creation. Here's a quick clip of him speaking on this.
Be delusional, be so crazy to where people can't understand what is going on in your head. I don't care what anybody thinks. Listen to me. I'm so obsessed with what I'm doing right now. I'm so obsessed with the clothes and the practicing and the time and the commitment of putting energy and real.
So people are making some comments about this. And certainly interesting takes. And then this guy, actually, this is very interesting. He said, I bet he won't close that Twitch account, though.
To keep the subscriptions?
Yes. Because essentially, right, there's people who are paying monthly. And if he were to shut that down, then he would lose that monthly recurring revenue, even if he's not there.
Mm-hmm.
People are
it's
paying.
Fascinating because streamers were obviously on the fringe before, but if you see who's been coming on his streams, like he's crossed over to like mainstream people who are Hollywood and all that stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's 500 million is crazy, if accurate.
Insane, bro. Insane.
And that is, it's also, of course, kids are going to watch whatever's the most entertaining, but all these things, like we point at them and we're like, oh, like screw them. It's like, people should look in the mirror. Like we collectively did that, right? Like we do have agency over where we put our time, attention, and money. So it's like you can hate something, but it's like, what are you doing that's contributing to this reality, right? And I think we all do it in different ways, whether it's like not being as patient as we should be, or like trying to educate people in the way that we can, or not being conscious of like, where are we falling into the trap of that, right? So yeah, it's fascinating. It's I'm really hopeful that I can kind of feel a pendulum swinging the other way, where people do want not role models, but like people that they consume that actually have substance. You know what I mean? Like I think people have been consuming enough fast food for their brain long enough where they're like morbidly obese in their mind. Right? And eventually you start to feel really bad. Like it doesn't catch up to you when you start eating really badly until like you're really overweight. You know what I mean? In terms of like how you feel a lot of the time, because your body just gets used to it. But so yeah, I'm hopeful that there'll be a bit of a pivot point. But I've heard he's doing movies and stuff too, like true Hollywood movies and stuff.
Right.
What were your thoughts on all of it?
No, I mean, all that is what it is. I mean, that part about, look in the mirror, same thing with OnlyFans. It's like,
yeah,
what's the incentive, bro? Like they're going to make some bread.
Yeah, that's all they're doing it for, which is crazy. Money is God. And But to bring back to the, and we'll touch more on it in community piece, but like even how you act online, like that really does matter. It has a trickle down effect. And that's one thing that we want to continue to build here is like a better space where you actually enjoy spending time online, because I don't think the tools themselves are entirely the problem. It's like how people are using them or how they're unaware of how the tools are using them, I guess is a better way of saying it. If you have great communities, like that can be really, really powerful. Like I know there's not millions of people here, but I guarantee that you guys are all putting out good things into the world, right? And then if you do that even with more intention, that's so fantastic. Like, how are you now? I saw him welcome someone else into our community on a previous episode, and like that's so awesome. Like that stuff goes a very long way. It seems very insignificant in the moment because no one gives you an attaboy or like you don't get compensated for it financially. But that kind of shit has a trickle down effect, right? Like how many people have never heard a nice comment on their social media experience ever, like to them?
Right.
Probably the vast majority. Which is
True.
fucking insane to think about, but it's the reality. Like people have just default become assholes. And then I think what you have to do is like if you aren't an asshole, don't leave an opportunity to show that you're not an asshole. Like how are you now? What he did, he took the time to say like welcome to the community. Like that stuff goes such a long way because a lot of people don't interact with things because they're so afraid of like I'm gonna get tortured for this, right? Like that stops a lot of people for posting content, that stops a lot of people for engaging in communities. And so the more that we do that here, I think we're gonna attract people that and they'll feel like this is different. Like this is something cool. I actually like this. I don't leave feeling like garbage. I leave feeling empowered and like I can do things. So I think all that stuff really matters.
Totally. Love that. Very, very well said. Next piece is we had $8.5 million worth of Bitcoin that got burned. Someone sent 107 Bitcoin to Bitcoin's unspendable burn address. The coins are permanently removed from circulation with no recovery being possible, which reduces Bitcoin's effective supply, boosting scarcity for the $21 million cap. 21 million, excuse me, cap. Community debates if this was intentional or some massive mistake.
That'd be a tough go.
Oh my goodness. 8.5 million.
That'd be so depressing.
Not be good.
Hey, well, that means there's less in circulation.
That's correct. So whether you benefit from it or not, you help everyone else. So next thing is Gen Z is turning to these gig apps amid tough job conditions and as summer jobs and internships get harder to land. So you've got people turning to Uber and GoPuff for summer jobs instead.
It's a lot less sad because it's kind of a necessity. But I had some buddies that did like Uber Eats and stuff during the summers when they were in school because it paid decently. But it seems like the pay is not. It's getting like better, not worse. Sorry, worse, not better. So it's difficult to do that, and it is super shitty how bad the employment market is. But I think the best thing that you can do is like focus on skill acquisition. Like especially if you can, the biggest advice I'd give to someone who's young is like try to communicate with your parents so that they actually understand the gravity of how difficult things are for one, right? Because I think a lot of older parents, they're just like, oh, you're not trying hard. It's like, okay, well then maybe as a kid you got to show how you're trying hard, and if you can't do that, maybe you're not.
That's
right.
Real.
A lot of people are just like saying I'm trying so hard, and then I've had instances where I've tried to mentor people and they told me how hard they were trying, and then I saw their effort and I said, I know this isn't you trying. So a lot of people have just given up too. So like I'm very aware of that it is hard, but in your attempts to educate someone else on how your effort is being put out, you may find that you're not actually trying that hard for one. And then if you really are, maybe it's a problem of priority of that effort. A lot of people get discouraged because they work really hard on shit that doesn't actually matter. And so to figure out what matters, you have to think about enough, and then you also have to you should talk to people. Really, that's one of the things I'm most happy about as we grow this and Node Ice and stuff is the opportunity just to nudge people in the right direction. Because I think people are capable of amazing things, but they just spend time on the things that can't solve their immediate problem. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they're putting in so much effort and they're getting no positive feedback. Part of that's just life, right? Like it's how high you want to go is dictated for how long can you do something without getting rewarded for it. Delayed gratification, that whole marshmallow study thing, that's a very real thing in life. But then a lot of times people, they seek out confirmation that they're doing the right thing in the wrong places as well. I think a big thing that you should do is like talk about this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Love it. 100%,
Because
man.
it's shit, and that's also shameless plug. Like we're hiring interns and giving them opportunities for the summer, right? And so there are opportunities out there, but you also have to show agency in today's world. It's become that much of a shit show. Like you can't expect to walk into something good unless you show it to other people, like why you're going to help them.
Mm.
The era of being able to just walk in because you were a kid with a start of a degree, like those days are pretty much gone unless you know someone, right? So it's a supply and demand economics. The people who have the opportunities to give out, there's way more people who want them. And so you have to change, you know?
Right. 100%.
But the gig economy sucks.
Yeah, I mean, that's super tough. I guess when I was doing stuff like this, I mean, it's not that it wasn't around. I was kind of doing something similar actually once. I was driving around delivery for in-house for a restaurant, so very similar type of vibes. But yeah, I mean, the problem is that those platforms are always going to be built to like serve the marginal. You're only making the spread.
Yeah.
Like you're constantly making whatever's the spread is in society.
Yeah, totally. That's a really good way of saying it. And as people get more and more poor, that spread gets thinner, right? For the majority of these services that you can access. So, but I will also say this, guys, is that a lot of these people that are being pretty extractive right now, they're fucked because of how much easier it is for us to come in. And we're building a product that will compete with these guys right now. Right. So, and we're able to do it with a team that is a fraction of the size and we're not publicly traded. Right. So that gives us the ability to be so much more lean and nimble. And also like, we don't have to, the amazing thing now with where technology is that from the beginning, you can create a business that can become massive and you don't really need to screw people along the way. Like previously how it was, you had to screw someone in part of the equation, right? Like, so the example of Ubers, everyone remembers when Uber drives costed like $5, right? That was never real. That was a fugazi. That was subsidized by venture capital funding to get you hooked on the behavior and to price out cabs. So that was no longer a thing. So that when that was all gone, they said, oh, it now costs this much, surprise. Right? Because and that was always the plan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas now you can start a business because the cost, and they had to do that because building Uber was a logistical nightmare, not only from the tech side, but also the legal side. Right. So they were always going to say, I'm going to get this back way later. That was always the plan. And so now you can go build shit that you don't have to do that. That's actually like Jeff Booth had said this a bunch of times, is that like your margin is my opportunity. If I was a young entrepreneur, I'd be looking out and be like, who did a lot of the heavy lifting for me in the last generation, where now they have so much bureaucracy around them that they can't make the right decision because it would piss off too many people, and go make the right decision. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like that's exactly what we're trying to do for a lot of our apps is like, where are people getting screwed? How do we come in and like make it more of a win-win-win for everybody involved? And then that becomes the margin.
Beautifully said, man. Absolutely. And then, yeah, so that's everything that I had on the interaction, the reactions side. Now it's time for the pure memes.
Pure memes.
Pure memes.
I like me a meme.
Most certainly, man. One of the things that was going on is Jeff Bezos came out a couple weeks ago. He was talking about like taxes and all that kind of stuff. And people were like, Jeff Bezos has been replaced. And Tim Taylor said, Jeff Beefzos. Because that man's been eating, I guess.
And doing some tests.
Yeah, that's right. And then this one is it's kind of a run back because last week there was another shooting that took place outside of the White House. The White House locked down after as many as 30 shots were fired in the vicinity, and some kid, I believe, actually was he lost his life during this because he was shooting.
Wow.
So this is another one of these of Trump every time his ratings go down.
FIB special agent, I got this covered.
So wild one there. this guy here, Sergio said, bro forgot to use his own guide. And this is Pranjal Bora, who put out From Zero to Poly Market, a beginner's A to Z guide. And then him losing around $15,000.
That's wild.
And then
Tough go.
This one here is a bunny in China allegedly snuck into the grape fermenting pit and got very drunk.
That's awesome. That's real. That's so good. Bunnies are so cute, man.
And this guy said, what do you mean allegedly?
Allegedly.
His trunk A is right there on camera.
My mom had bunnies growing up, so I've had a pet bunny before. Super cool.
That's awesome, man. And then this was here. Sundar actually responded to this, but Trung Phan, who's a popular like fintech and tech writer, he said Google is sitting on a massive clothing and home textiles opportunity. Got YouTube Shorts, Google Slides, and some Google Sheets.
Have you seen their new icons that they updated for the whole Google Workspace suite?
Yes.
I do not like them.
I just don't like that I'm not familiar with them. It makes me mad because I'm looking for something and I'm like,
it doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of them, the changes, but I'm sure I'll get used to them. What choice do I have?
You have no choice. And then something crazy that was going on that I've just now seen. There was a Donald Trump buffalo. It was named Donald Trump.
Okay.
And it has apparently been spared from sacrifice in Bangladesh after going viral. So Donald Trump, the rare albino buffalo named for its blonde tuft of hair, was hours away from being sacrificed for Eid until the government stepped in. It had already been sold for ritual slaughter when viral videos turned it into a national attraction. Crowds started flooding the farm to see the 1,500-pound animal in person, forcing officials to intervene due to security concerns. And now the buffalo is heading to the national zoo.
It does look a lot like Trump, man.
So,
which one's Trump?
What's going on there? So that's that. Another thing now is to talk a little bit of community stuff.
Community. Let's talk about it.
So yeah, I mean, the thing is that we had an interesting week here with some technical difficulties on the YouTube streaming side of things, where we got cut off last time around. So sorry about that, guys. And with that, the stream also just deleted itself
from YouTube. Yeah, just gone forever. It didn't on Twitter though.
Word. Yeah, I mean, from a technical perspective, it's really hard to understand how that's even possible, really.
I sent them a very long email, and even writing what happened was hard. I was like, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened.
Yeah. So, yeah, because there's, in the YouTube studio, we can see that there's a spike in views, but there's nothing there to accommodate or to account for where
they went. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's super interesting that it is on Twitter too, because once again, it's like, how do you delete? Like it feels like you would have had to have. I guess they do have access to YouTube in some way, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing to delete it after.
They must have said something they didn't like.
Yeah, man. They just were like, they got the eject button,
100%,
the censor button.
But I got one thing I'll show here. From our podcast with Jeff Booth. I strongly recommend going to watch this. And if you want a more condensed version with enhanced audio, go ahead and watch our highlights channel. Again, it's linked down below. Definitely go subscribe to this channel, guys. It's the highlights one. You can find the link pretty easily, and it's just down below. We are 275 subscribers away from having that thing monetized, which will be a huge deal for us. But I just want to highlight the comment referring to earlier from How Are You Now? So Eric said, I have a newfound respect for this podcast. Some lore on Eric. So I want to meet Eric to see if he's a real person, because way back in the show, Eric commented being like, Jeff Booth will be these boys' Bitcoin awakening. And then I'm like, I don't know, Jeff's pretty techie. Like, that could be a bot that he's like getting on to comment on everybody who talks about crypto, right? Like that could be a thing. You're probably real, Eric. I'm just saying you got to watch out in these online streets. And then you guys seem genuine and authentic. And even though I'm a Bitcoin maxi, I could see us being cool. Open-mindedness is a rare thing these days. Oh, there's a space. So maybe he is real. There's a space between the period. And then Hari now said, welcome to the community. These guys are truly the most authentic guys I've found on YouTube. I greatly appreciate them and the community. So that's the kind of stuff that's super, super awesome. Like when you take the time to, whoops, sorry, I muted myself, to welcome other people in, that stuff does a lot, because people don't see that other places. So like, if we make this a great place to hang out and people feel good here, we're going to attract more people, and then they're going to spend more time here, and then we're going to learn more.
100%, man. So huge shout out to How Are You Now for taking the time to do that. And then, yeah, I mean, I think the only other stuff that we would have is stuff on the Twitter.
We got some crazy shit on Twitter. You know, people are so angry. But sometimes you can kill the anger with just kindness. Like, just laugh and understand that they're just looking to feel something, which is why they're assholes, is because at least you giving them some sort of like attention, like it's a bait and switch kind of thing. Like they just want to feel seen.
Totally. And I guess technically, since we also didn't have the stream fully last week, we also, anyways. All right. So I think it was on Salim stuff, right? Is the one that was interesting.
On Twitter?
Yeah.
It wasn't that interesting. It was just someone being a prick, but I can show it. It was kind of funny. But like, did you find it?
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
So this was like about what happens to Bitcoin if the internet goes down, and future Salim Ismail has a straightforward answer. It still works. And this guy, man, I won't even name him, but he's just like, every day that the internet is broken, Bitcoin does not work. Eat a bag of these, fatty.
Crazy.
It's just like, what on earth, bro?
Bro, I wonder, like, for all of these people, a lot of them are bots. So like, let's not give it too much energy for one, but two, like some of them are real. And I'm like, what had to happen in your life to become that guy? It makes me so sad. I'm like, what happened, man? And I bet you like they're angry about everything. And yeah, I hope that you have a great day, sir. But anything else?
No, nothing that comes to my mind, man. But yeah, shout out to everybody who came through on the Red Panda Koala episode as well.
Mm-hmm.
That one was good. You guys seem to like him a nice amount as well. And yeah, I guess I'll say one thing from that one, because I don't think we covered it last time.
No, I don't think we did.
The Rebel said, the amount of times clipping has been referenced in your streams made me do a deep dive. Worth knowing more. Peace and good show as well. Y'all know I love the UFO alien-ish.
Yeah, we should definitely talk more about clipping. We did an entire episode on the concept a while back, so go ahead and give that a watch. Clavicular is in the thumbnail. But people don't understand the gravity of clipping, because everyone is just in a frantic like frenzy to get as many impressions as possible. So if they just see something popping off, they don't really vet it, right? Like they just say, okay, this is working. This will get me views too. So I cover this. That's why fake stories get spread all the time. And then, but by Nikita, on that note, he's certainly trying to, he says at least, that he's trying to shut down on all these pages, because the aggregators, with how easy it is to aggregate content now, that creates a new problem. Because if they have a big audience, they're always just going to screw over people like us.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they see something, they're like, okay, this would work if I shared it. They just take it. And then the growth should be coming back to us, but it doesn't, right? So he's been going at people pretty directly. It's been pretty funny. I'll try to find something, but it was pretty jokes. It was someone basically complaining about Twitter, like Twitter sucks or whatever. He's like, no, you just steal everyone's content and don't give people credit. So if they can crack that, that would solve a lot of the problems.
Yep. I feel like we brought it up. Or at least maybe one of them we did when he was talking about that.
Yeah, right here he said, someone asked, does this mean someone should be the first one to post the video on X, no matter who is the original owner or creator of the video? And then Nikita said, it is fine. I'll show my screen, but it's pretty strict, basically what I said before. He said, it is fine to bring the best videos on the internet to X. One of Twitter's core values is cultural commentary. However, we cannot tolerate big accounts intentionally using their larger following to hijack impressions hours after another user posts something. We've had that happen to us multiple times. Having said that, we will aim to reward original content creators and live streamers more in the coming weeks. Where you at, bro? That's us. Where's our reward?
And then, so what was the thing that he was actually saying?
Replying to?
Yeah.
It was basically saying that, here it is. Here's the original one. Okay. Let me try to, he's been doing this a lot. So I recommend going to, because there's too many things to even share, because he's talking about this pretty well every day.
Yeah.
So there's this post from whatever's going on here. And then after sourcing 2,759 videos from Viral Rush X over the last 6 months, you're now circumventing attribution by simply cropping out his watermark.
That's crazy.
That happened to us. They added another one. You cannot get more shameless than this. This is your last day in the creator program. Ooh. So the people they're doing this, they're booting them out, which truthfully, like,
that's fair.
I think that totally, man. Like, especially because especially because of how I know content, we could cut so many corners and have way more followers, But I don't want to do that because I want our logo to mean something when people see it, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't cut those corners that these aggregators all do. And I was doing this on Instagram like a long time ago, but Instagram is a little different because I would give credit every time. Like if I use someone's reposted stuff, I would funnel the traffic back to them. Whereas these guys don't even try to do that.
Bro's cropped out his watermark. And then people cropped out our watermark and then put their own watermark in there, bro.
How that doesn't raise a flag of, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. That's crazy to me.
Like, why? But I think would you do that? Like,
I don't know, man.
Would you do that? Is what I don't understand. Like, that's
in the long run, we'll win, because quality rises to the top. Like, these are broken incentive structures that I'm hopeful they'll eventually be sorted out. Because we also need to do a better job of giving people off ramps, right? We talked about this last night, right? Of like going to where people are at who want to watch content like this, but they don't know enough to come and participate, at least so they feel. I've actually been writing some scripts that we should make about like talking to people. So I'll share them with you after this.
Word.
But yeah. Do you want to talk about anything else? Like, do you want to talk about No Dice? Robbie shared that in the chat.
Yeah, that's what time it is. In fact, I am about to pull my challenges for the day. So
yeah, I have to as well.
Well, with me. So I've had some issues. So we're doing No Dice 45. It's a 45-day challenge where you essentially can do, you got 5 different things that you're going to have to do throughout the day that are honestly just going to make your life a little bit better. Whatever you got going on. And so one of them is always going to be pretty much working out. Another one of them is going to be no gambling. And then from there, it's like talking to people in some sort of way. Sometimes we'll be there. It might be reaching out to someone that you haven't talked to in a while. It could be talking to strangers, something like that. And then something that's also a little bit more like introspective, like journaling or meditating or breath work and things of that nature. So I have now had to start over twice. So I'm currently on day 3 of the challenge. The first time I just like put it off kind of late in the day. And then I realized, I didn't meditate and I had 10 minutes to do it, but only had 6 minutes left. And then the second time it was something very similar. But what I realized that I needed to change that's going to make my life better is that I have to stop procrastinating. I said, I've been putting it off. I'll have something that I could easily just do, but I put it off and then not setting myself a reminder to do it. So it's like, if I'm going to put it off, then I need to write it in there, put a time in which I am going to do it. And so super excited about that because it's helping me to think about that in other aspects of life as well. But I'm going to pull my challenges for the day. You guys ready for this? Let's go. Restarting. Start the challenge. Okay. So I've got meditation. I got to say hi to 5 strangers. Got to exercise, no gambling, and read 10 pages of a book, folks.
Let's
I
go.
think I can do it.
I know you can. I'll go now. And then that also gave me an idea. I just shared a message in this ideation chat. Let's see what I got. Let's see. I got watch 30 minutes of educational YouTube video or podcast. I will be able to do that, no problem. No gambling. And also, guys, if you don't have to block gambling apps. The app blocking functionality works for apps of any kind. So whatever vice that you feel like you have, that could be Uber Eats, that could be anything that you feel your life would benefit from not accessing. That can be what you put, what you block. The blocking functionality can block any app on your phone, and so that doesn't have to be a gambling app. A lot of people are fixated on that. They thought it has to be a gambling app. You can block whatever you want. I got to do a meditation, exercise, and then I got to go say hi to 5 strangers. So I'll do that at the gym today. And you can access No Dice. Yeah, already just shared it in the chat. And then also, strongly recommend going over there even to just access Keith's free courses. He put in a free course there on personal finance, and then as well on the numbers behind gambling. So definitely go over there. Yeah, you can also block corn apps as well. But you can go over there, and then how you can help us out, because the challenge participating in that does have a cost associated with it, but we want to give you something completely for free, which is the courses that Keith has made. And so you can access that at no cost whatsoever. And when you go through those, we would love in return if you could give us a 5-star rating. You said we had 7 ratings right now?
Something like that. Yep.
And those are tremendously important on the App Store. So go take advantage of the free courses that Keith put a ton of time into making. They're only available on No Dice. They're No Dice exclusive. And then if you could return the favor by giving us a 5-star rating, that would be tremendously appreciative.
Absolutely. And you can find the link to that in the description of this video.
I love what Lauren said. 5 is a lot, bro, to say 5 to random people. It sounds like a lot, but it's so easy. Especially, I basically just talk to everyone as is now for the most part when I'm out and about, if there's no headphones involved. So it's really not that hard.
Yeah, it's really just going into a place and like greeting the people. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like,
half of that's done, right? And then I try to level up the challenges a little bit and do like a lot of people, they want to say something, but then for whatever reason, these instincts we have, we stop, right?
100%.
Like even the stupid little things, like you may want to give a compliment to someone, but then you get distracted or you just don't do it. If you fight that urge, like life can get a lot better really fast. And that's a lot of what this is it's forcing you to drop the stakes so that you just become the person who does that all the time. And when you're not thinking so much, good things can find their way to you.
Hundo P, man.
Cool, brother.
So, yep.
Anything else?
Join us for No Dice 45. Click that link in the description. And we'll also be promoting your content and stuff like that. If you're posting about it, we will be retweeting and Instagramming and liking and commenting and interacting with you. So it's also just a way to, be a part of the community. And yeah, other than that, I think there's one other thing that we definitely need your help with. We mentioned it just a little bit earlier, but this Memes and Markets Highlights channel, guys, we really need your help getting this to 1,000 subscribers. It's something that's totally free for you, but it legitimately makes such a huge difference. We've been putting in a lot of work on YouTube, and YouTube has these arbitrary rules. That means that we have to have 1,000 subscribers in order to get paid from what we're doing over here. But people are obviously loving these. Okay, we've got 24,000 on this one, 8,000, 2,000. People are loving these, and YouTube is making money off of this, but we're not. So if you could do us a huge favor by clicking the link in the description of this video and just taking 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button, it actually legitimately makes a difference. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it matters a ton because we already have way more than the watch hours, which means that people are really liking it. So it's a difficult situation. We're so close. So yeah, it takes 2. I know it takes 2 seconds. So hopefully you guys can give us 2 seconds, and it is completely free to you, like Keith had said. So the faster we get to 1,000, the more that we can expand the ecosystem and all of these things. So that channel will be a big unlock for us. So we appreciate your 2 seconds in advance for doing that.
Thank you for your 2 seconds.
And you'll also like it. Like I guarantee you there's episodes that you've probably missed, and that's a fantastic way to go and consume it. I personally love going back and watching the old live streams to see the chat. So like you obviously won't have that here, but it's a great way to watch it in a tight form factor. Thank you, Brian. We appreciate you. You said done. Thanks for subscribing there. And yeah, and also I think it was Mary said it earlier. I can't recall who it was, but they said that they like sharing the highlights with people, and that was also another reason why we made it, is because it's a lot more shareable than a 3-hour live stream. We want to get them here, but truthfully, sending them this is the best way to warm people up to the idea of then joining us in a live stream. Then they'll have a great experience, and then they'll be part of the community. But yes, thank you in advance.
Totally. Fantastic. Well,
That's a good name. M&M Minis.
M&M
cool.
Minis. That's correct.
I like that.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I like that. But I feel like highlights a little more obvious. But M&M Minis is good. I like that, Brian.
That is a good one. Might have to use it in a different way.
Yeah, we definitely can. But that's it from me. Anything else from you, Keith?
That's it for me.
Cool. Well, thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you, RD, as always. We appreciate you tremendously. Producer Nasipa in the background, thank you as well. And we will see all of you legends on Tuesday. Have an awesome, awesome weekend.
Make it the best day of your life, folks.
That's it. Be the light that you'll want to see, and we'll see all of you guys on Tuesday. Thanks so much.
Peace.
And bye-bye.